Hi everyone, welcome to episode 13 of Enforcer and the Dude. Paul Morris, Russell Ingall here at the Norwell Motorplex. We've got a massive show coming up. We're going to debrief on the debrief from DJR Team Penske, the penalty. Was it harsh enough or wasn't it? The GC600, where we were out in the trucks, and we're going to review that whole race meeting. And man, there was some action going on and a few bent cars coming out of that one as well. We're going to talk a little bit about MotoGP as well, because it was at Phillip Island, local round. F1. We got, I don't know if it's grassroots or not, but the Stadium Super Trucks, probably grassroots in the USA.
We drive on the grass.
They drive on the grass. Good point. Fan comments as well, and Dude's life message. So stay tuned, and like a stadium truck, let's jump straight into it.
Russ,
big weekend.
How'd you pull up?
Yeah, all right. Neck's a little bit sore, but
everyone asks that, don't they? How's your neck? How's your back? I've felt the best. It's like I've been to the chiropractor.
Obviously talking about stadium trucks, which we'll get to when we review our GC600. But yeah, it was. It's been good. Hey, let's launch straight into it. DJR Penske. We gave our view on it in the last show of what we thought about the whole Bathurst fallout.
Crystal balled it again, mate. I think we said, if I was those guys, I'd get a deal done before the Gold Coast, and it looks like that's what's happened for sure.
I know, the crystal ball, mate. The Enforcer and the Dude crystal ball just keeps giving. Yeah, you're right. Okay, let's talk about the penalty itself, right? Yep. So 250k, 100 of that suspended. So really, it's going to be a 150k fine and 300 championship points. Let's break that down. Was it severe enough?
I don't think it was, but for me it was a little bit mishandled at the start. So I think that's what why they got away with such a lenient penalty, because the stewards really didn't charge them with the right thing to start with.
Which you brought up in the last episode.
Which I brought up, yeah.
So that was, I think, going on, and we're just going on team feedback here. So before we start throwing comments at us, we're just going on feedback, what people tell us. When I say people, other teams, team members, engineers.
So if you're the other teams, they fined Roger Penske 150 grand, which is like fining Roland or Betty $1,500. Like, he spent more on jet fuel getting here than the fine, but you've got to treat everyone equally.
Yep.
It's the biggest fine we've seen. The points penalty, they had a massive points lead in the championship, in the team's championship at that time. So it really, they've got away with it, haven't they?
That's where the teams, as I said, that's what the teams are complaining about. Yeah. The other teams, members, and I think Barry Ryan's leading the charge there from Erebus, is that there should have been more championship points to put them down pit lane, potentially, and really punish them as a team. Yeah, because as Ryan's stories come out, he's taken responsibility as a team. So should the team have itself been punished more?
I believe it's so, but when you read the stewards' report, their only choice was those fines or an exclusion of the whole team.
That was the maximum championship points, was it?
Yeah, maximum championship points they could do, and the fine was they could do for that meeting, and that's in the rule book. But they could have excluded the whole team from the event.
Which would have taken McLaughlin's win away.
Well, that's why I think there was a deal done, because when you read the report, they didn't believe the engineer and the driver were acting alone. They knew there was something going on in the team, but they did believe Ryan Story didn't know about it, and they did believe that truly that Ryan Story didn't know about it, and they weren't trying to help car 17. So that's the key thing you read into the steward's summary of the events. So obviously, between Ryan and the engineer, someone's come up with this story. So for me, it's going to be, Ryan said he doesn't know about it, but he's taken responsibility of it. But the stewards are saying it wasn't the engineer and the driver acting alone. So, but somewhere between Ryan and the engineer, Someone's come up with it. So it'd be interesting to see, for me it's going to be interesting to see, will there be a 4 guy in the team over it, or will they just close ranks and move on? It looks like they're going to close ranks and move on. So that's basically the summary of it, but I think they had to get a deal done, and both parties knew. I think the fact that the stewards didn't charge them with the right thing to start with, any penalty harsher than what they were given probably would have resulted in an appeal and a long drawn out court case. So I think cool heads have prevailed, and they've just got a deal done, which was probably what needed to happen.
Well, all those points are very relative, and what a lot of people probably didn't know about that side of the situation and what the conclusion was, what the stewards came up with. So it's very, especially with the stewards believe that Ryan didn't know what was going on. So.
Yeah, they 100% believed him that he didn't know what was going on, and 100% believed him, which Ryan's he's got no reason to lie. Yep. I don't think he does. He's a stand-up guy, so I think his biggest thing now is his relationship with the other teams. And from what I've heard at the team owners meeting from different team owners, the thing that the other team owners were happy about is that he walked into the room straight away and just addressed everyone and
really
tidied it up the best he could.
That's pretty cool.
He's still got to build a bit more of the bridge to build, but you know, give him 100% points for getting on with it.
Yeah. Car 12 got excluded.
Well, put to the back.
Put to the back. Okay, right. And that's I suppose you can't do any more than that, because I think considering it was car 12 and the driver that had a reasonable amount to do with all of that, got out of that pretty. Yeah, so I'm not buying into this save Fabian thing. He had nothing to do with it, whatever. Like, you know, he knew what was going on. Yeah. The engineer what was going on. That team knew what was going on. So he's still got a bit of blood on his hands too. He just can't be, oh, it wasn't my fault. Yeah. You know, that's... You're still pushing the pedals. You're still pushing the pedals. So anyway, the good thing about it is, I suppose, and one thing we agreed on, that it should not take away from Scott and Alex's performance. Exactly. You can't take away the win, because I heard you give it to Shane, but he actually got affected and legged up too. So where does it? And this is really important, because this was a tough one for everyone reporting on this, every media outlet, including ourselves, is because how do you determine, in our view? And we've spoke about this, in our view, how do you determine who's second? You can't take away the win from Scott and say, you're right, you can't say, you know, Tander and Van Gisbergen, because you don't know, they were going to push on. They weren't going to pit before the hold-up. So who knows what, they might have run out of fuel, they might have come back in. You just, where did it stop? And all the other cars were saying, yeah, we had enough fuel to go to the end. Well, did they? Did they? You know, so you can't go on if, buts or maybes. Who would have actually been second at that stage that would have been elevated? So you can't go on a fictitious thing or guesses or work out times, because no one knows fuel economy, driving styles, all the rest of it. So you can't take away the win from Scott McLaughlin just because of those reasons. Yeah. Is that fair? I think so. But Lowndesy come out and tarnished it a bit in the press and said it, you know, the win had a few warts over it, was the gist of what he was saying. But Scott shot him straight back down, which I liked. You know, he just stood his ground and said, "I've won it, mate." So he did win it in my eyes. In our eyes, he has. His name's on the trophy, and a couple of years' time, I don't think, you know, this will just go away, and he'll probably go on to win a lot more of them and a lot more championships, and it's done. But one thing I want to, it does show that. There's a different way of going racing from that Penske organisation than we're used to in Australia. They're prepared to push things that the teams in here in Australia won't. And I think because, I might be right, I might be wrong, but I think because there's, like, if you're, say, and I'm just using Erebus as an example, or Red Bull example, if you push the things to that limit where you do something unsporting, you could lose your sponsor. You could lose all your commercial backing. Yeah. Right, but that's not going to happen with DJ. They have commercial backing, but it's a business to business deal. Like Shell are probably knocking on Rogers' door, going, "Can you please buy our fuel?" Even if he does those teams, and they're being found to do something wrong, I don't think it has any commercial implications to them. So when they make decisions about how they're going to run their race, that
they're in a different area to the other teams. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, agree. Yeah, well,
So,
they're not.
We've seen that with how they built the car. We've seen that how they pushed the limits on the rules. We've seen that.
I'll give you a classic example is 2003 with myself and the Scaife incident at Eastern Creek.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of backpedaling and repairing that Ross Stone had to do, because Caltex were real nervous. They were about to walk. So they got.
Yeah, well, they thought
went,
you
whoa.
tried to kill someone.
Yeah,
didn't
so
they?
and all the negative stuff that came out from other parties as well, along with it, they went, we're out of here. So that was really close. Like Ross was real nervous about that one. So
if you're buying $1 billion worth of fuel off Caltex here, they're not going to worry too much. You know?
There won't be too many emails going backwards and forwards if it's a commercial deal.
No,
you're right. This is good points. Real valid points.
Yeah. So anyway, let's move on. And,
that's it. We're done. No more. We're not going to talk about it anymore.
Yep.
It's done. It's a bit like parody. We're not going to talk about that anymore either. Alrighty, GC600. Let's talk about something real cool.
Yeah.
GC600. It's cool from our side of it because the stadium trucks are back on, and I may be biased, which I am.
Oh, you would never bias, would you?
No, I'm never biased, mate. But you only can go on fan reaction, mate. And I'll tell you what, if it wasn't the most popular category out there, overall, well then, I don't know what was.
Yeah, look, I think they need each other. Like, the stadium trucks need to be at those marquee events.
Yeah.
And the marquee events need the stadium trucks. It's a pretty good partnership. And obviously that's why the 8-round championship next year, and it's a crowd pleaser for sure.
Yeah, it was good, wasn't it? And all the kids, one thing that blew me out is the kids. How's the kids on the fence? And they're all given that, and how good was this? And because to them it's like this Tonka truck toy thing that's just incredible, but it's live, and it's like what they see on a cartoon, but it's not a cartoon, it's real.
Yeah, the kids' reaction's great, and I think I didn't leave the track till 5:30, 6 o'clock on Sunday night, and there was still 100, 200 people milling around the stadium truck pit while we were packing up.
That's pretty cool.
and most of them were kids.
Yeah, and they're accessible, and that's what I liked about it, and I know I commented on social media, I called it the Bronx, where they put the stadium
Do you know
trucks.
The Bronx is a real elite piece of real estate in New York now, mate?
Is it? The
yeah,
Bronx
it's high
is?
end now, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe.
I reckon you're a bit out of order there, because the trucks have been there. Trucks have been there ever since we've been going there.
I reckon there was better spots, though. Because, I mean, it could have gone over in the merchandise area.
But then we wouldn't be able to get in and get out. And
well, Mingay does.
Yeah, but it's only. Yeah, maybe we need to look at it. But
I just think it needed to be an area because a lot of people I spoke to couldn't find them. They wanted to come down. And considering where the supercar pits are, unless you've got a pass, you can't see. It's like Formula One at Adelaide up to a point.
Yeah.
You can't even touch, smell a car. You can't see a driver. You're sort of excluded. Where the trucks were there, they're on display. Everyone was walking through the tents. Robbie Gordon was there. Yeah, come in, sit in the truck, do whatever you want. If that was in an area, a more prolific public area.
Well, that's
where.
Let's go.
That's what.
Well, we live on the Gold Coast. Let's go and have a look, see where we can put them.
Yeah, they've got to be in a better area because
But we're there last minute. Like we weren't even on the program, so.
I believe it was commercial. In my view, it was a commercial reason because they were sponsored by Boost and the event was sponsored by Vodafone.
Well, yeah, I think you're wrong because 2015, that's where we were.
Yeah.
2016, that's where the trucks were. So we weren't in an area that we weren't been in before.
Well, if it was the most popular, it is definitely, in my view, most definitely the most popular support category. So
if we can get that
in a good spot.
If we can get that in the fan zone somewhere,
it'd be go off.
But you still got to egress and degress onto the track and come in after the races and all that. So
I think it needs to be in a good spot though. So that was the only negative I found to it.
I'll get you on the planning committee.
You should.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll sort it out. Yeah, get me in front of the Supercars planning committee.
Yeah.
I'll sort them out, mate. Don't worry about that.
No worries.
Hey, one thing I wanted to talk about, and it was so good, was the commentary. Because a lot of people have various views on commentators and commentary and all the rest of it. I reckon Matt Nolte, and was it Sean
Samini?
Samini?
Yeah.
The American. I just think I'd sit back and watch, because I watch the replays. It's so good.
They are good.
Those two. Matt Nolte is very underrated. Matt Nolte should be on the Supercars commentary.
I've said that a long time because Matt just calls the race. He doesn't try
Absolutely.
and pump his own tyres up or get
Yep.
too connected. He just looks what's in front of him and he calls it and
Yep.
does a great job. But he goes to America and works with Sean in America, and we race in America as well. So those two guys have definitely got something going on that works very well.
But commentating in America too, because everyone knows when they see a NASCAR. I mean, I think NASCAR commentaries over the years has been out of control. It's so good, you know. So you probably pick up a lot from that with Matt going over. I just think Matt's a great commentator, and he's underutilised, and I just think the whole commentary was entertaining, you know.
Well, the racing's entertaining for a start, so they've got something to talk about.
One comes with the other.
I think that's a fair bit to do with it.
Sean's good though, American. I don't know, something about American.
He's a blast, isn't he?
They're real. I just wanted to throw that in there because it was really good. And the other thing I wanted to throw in there as well is, I don't know whether anyone caught this, but you got to have a listen. So we're going to play it now, all right? Because it is an absolute hoot. It is so good. So have a listen to Paul Morris commentating around half a lap, right, in a stadium truck. Have a look.
Right on top of one another, speaking right in the mix, in the lead. Dude, Paul Morris, how's it going up front?
I got a good lead here now, brother. Woo-hoo! I've got the thrill running shotgun. He's running tailgater for me, mate.
It's like he's thrown an invisible line and just latched onto the rear tail bar of your truck, but he's been menaced now by Cole Potts. Gee, it's good racing. You're having fun, aren't you?
Mate, what's this? Wide open. Woohoo!
So, Paul, you're out there looking good. You got your good friend and teammate right behind you here. Almost running block. He's not trying to, but he's got the elbows up for you, brother.
No, he's going good. I'm just checking him in the mirror. Teamwork makes the dream work.
We saw you land on the nose on the previous lap. What's that feeling like when it goes through your body when you land like that?
It's all good, mate. As long as your front or rear axle, just flat landed's no good. It's this one here.
Right on to this one here, and then back on the front wheels.
Yeah, that's the one there.
Go.
That's the one there, mate. Just got to get a good exit off here.
Hey, dude, we might need to let you go because your teammate just caught you and he's heavy on the tail.
Okay, brother.
Paul Morris leads, and now Bill Hines less than a truck length behind.
Hey, that was good. That was cool. Oh, mate, it's so, the amount of comments that I've had about it and online, that people, I mean, that's what you need. I mean, something like that, you know, where
Do you reckon Supercar drivers could do that?
I don't reckon they could. I don't reckon. It's like almost reminds me of Dick Johnson, you know, when he was saying about his car having as much grip as a dog on lino around Bathurst, you know. I don't reckon there's only a few, but entertainment-wise, man, that's good.
Yeah.
I mean, you're in the lead of the race too, mind you. Like, pretty cool.
Yeah, well, it's easier when you're up front. You just don't have to worry about the guys behind you.
Yeah.
But I think also it showed that they look out of control.
Yep.
But inside the car, it's pretty smooth operating, isn't it?
Yeah, well, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Outside, because everyone thinks, oh, they land really hard. They do their job really well. I mean, that's what they're designed to do. I just think that was entertainment.
Oh, thanks, Russ.
That's just entertainment.
I'm trying to be as good as broadcaster as you, mate.
Well, I think you are inside driving around. You seem to be at home. Well, that is your home.
Yeah, as I say, mate, it's the only place I feel normal.
Yeah, is in the car.
In a racetrack or in a car.
It's real good. And well done as well, getting on a podium. So that's pretty,
you
pretty
did great
cool.
too, mate.
With Bill Hines as well.
Bill's
good,
best
mate.
result.
Yeah,
the thrill.
Yeah. Drove good on Sunday. He was up it.
Well, he's been working really hard at his racing and coming here to Norwell and getting some coaching and like he flies all the way from America to come here to get coaching.
And Matty Braben won it, of course, won the race, which is great. Matty's a good driver, and he's
world class driver, and if you look at the amount of prize money, like he's making a living racing stadium trucks.
Yeah.
And getting paid to drive.
Yep.
Putting money in his pocket, feeding his dog and paying his rent, and taking his girlfriend out for dinner on the money he earns racing stadium trucks. Like
that's perfect, isn't it?
He's probably the second highest paid international professional racing driver in Australia.
And he's really good. He's really good at doing it too. And he's like your coaches here on your coaching school you've got here. He's a really good coach because I actually bent his ear on Saturday night, and because I really struggled on the Saturday race, couldn't get my head around it. It was a lot different when we ran in Eastern Creek, different nature of the track, and he said, you got to do this. We looked at some in-car, thought about it that night, come out, and Sunday all of a sudden, you know.
Yeah, he's a good help, and all the guys
he's
are
really good. Yeah,
he understands what's going on. And
he's good lad too, Matt.
He's just in that part of his career where certainly a little bit older, and he's still trying to get into IndyCar full time, and they're working on a program to try and do that at the moment. So
yeah,
be good to see him back in.
It would be. He's got all the right attributes. He thinks about its racing. I know everyone says, "Oh, stadium trucks," but you still got to think. You got to position. You got to know. You got to be smooth.
Well, he's qualified second, gone to the back, made his way up to second, gone to the back and for the next race, and made his way up to first.
Yeah.
And you look at his truck, and it's
brand new.
Brand new. So he's got a plan going on.
He's got racecraft. He's thinking about it and not rushing. And
exactly.
I just think he's very underrated. So I certainly hope he eventually breaks through for that, for a steer somewhere in something good. Right, now on to supercars. Man, there was some action going around there over the 2 days. Started off with Mostert.
Yeah.
Shunting in.
He was quickest forward, quickest car.
Yeah. He was on it.
He was on it. I think he would have been the guy to take it to the Red Bull guys this weekend.
He looked like he was going to be the one out of all the Fords.
And the shunt was a weird one too. Like I've seen people kiss the fence there, but not with the rear of the car. Like he'd made it all the way through the corner and then just clouded it with the left rear guard, and it's.
Man, it did some damage.
Well, it's missed the tyre wall because he's got round the corner a bit more. It's missed the tyre wall, normally a ping, and he's got to over here somewhere. So
and straight in hard.
Straight in hard.
Now, just explain, Paul, because there was, they went to, being Tickford, went to Supercars saying if we could use the spare, they must have had a spare car. So can we use the spare car, which rejected it. Now, you can't do that though, once you've started the event, is that right, with a chassis?
Yeah, you can't do that at any CAMS event. So once you enter that car with that logbook for that event, that's the car you have to use. So that's why we've seen over the years, even back in the day, you had the TAFE smash repair team at Bathurst was a big thing, because you had a crash, you had to fix that car. You couldn't roll out the backup car like we do in NASCAR or overseas. So it's one car for the event. You even seen with Reynolds' crash at Bathurst, they basically rebuilt that car overnight. It'd be way easier just to roll another one out, but you're not allowed to within the rules.
Is that, I suppose you can't really change that rule too, because then the well-funded teams would just take a spare car to every event, wouldn't they?
Well, everyone have a backup car.
Yeah.
You definitely see more crashes, because the drivers know that if they lob it, there's another one in the...
Another one there.
Another one in the thing.
I'm just thinking to keep the numbers up, because, by the time you got to Sunday, there was 2 cars missing.
Yeah, and it happens in waves, doesn't it? And we know the races where it's going to happen, don't we? We know Bathurst, it's always going to be on. And we know at the Gold Coast, it's always going to be on. Adelaide, it's always going to be on. So there are those races there.
Might be something to think about, just to keep the numbers, especially if the numbers go down to 22 or 23 next year.
Well, I've been a team owner, and if I had to have a 2-car team with 4 cars ready to go to the track, prepared identical, I don't think I could do it. I'd rather employ a driver that didn't crash.
Yeah, fair enough. That's a fair call. Yeah. It'd still be good.
But when you drove for me, I didn't think about crashing.
Yeah.
The last thing that I ever thought about was that car wasn't coming back. It was always coming back.
Yeah.
So I think it's a mindset, and what we saw on the weekend at the Gold Coast was the first time, and we'll probably get onto Scott's crash, but the first time he hasn't been dominant through practice, and you could see the body language of his car he was having to try a lot harder than he had been.
It's a mechanical track, it's not aero.
Yeah.
So everyone was a bit more level playing field.
Yeah.
Would you say that, out of everyone?
Well, to me, you were the master at that track. You knew how to attack that track and what you had to do with the car, so you could probably explain it better. But you needed a car with flow.
Yep.
You needed a car that could ride the curbs, and the normal handling characteristics went out the window.
Yeah.
And the way you can't pick the thing up and carry it around there, can you?
No, you're still going to have something going for you. You can manhandle right to a point, but you still need a decent rig under you to do the job.
Yeah, it's interesting track. And
what about McLaughlin? I haven't seen a bigger shunt than that for a fair while. Probably.
He said it was his first big one.
Yeah.
His first shunt.
Probably Lowndes' shunt at Calder.
Yeah, that was a roll over, and it just sort of rolled up on its side and skidded down the road.
Just the initial impact was pretty decent though.
By the time he stopped, he wouldn't have had time to think about it. It was bang, bang, in the fence. So.
Yeah. Van Gisbergen, very very sporting.
Yeah.
Jumping out and making sure his mate was all right.
Well, yeah, and a few people said to me, "Oh, should you have got out of the car or whatever?" But for me, Shane obviously knew there was no more traffic coming behind him. He was the last car on the scene, so he's aware of that.
Yep.
He's seen the issue. He's the guy that's got fireproof clothing on.
Yeah.
And there's no one knows more about the systems and the seat belts and how to get out of that car better than him.
Yeah.
So, 100% he did the right thing.
Yep.
And
there was marshals already on the track anyway.
They were there, but if you had a problem, he knows what to do.
Yeah,
if the cool suit's stuck or the helmet fan's in or or the steering wheel needs to come off, that's second nature to him.
Because I talk about that lounge, we talk about that lounge crash just then at Calder, and I just got that image of
Larry.
Everyone's pulling up to go assist Lowndes, right,
Larry's
in the
over
car.
there looking at the trailer going,
Larry's standing in the front of that thing, that upside down, that VS, and he's looking at the exhaust and the arms, and he's checking out the linkages. It was just, I shouldn't say it was funny because it was a pretty severe crash, but it's just a difference in mentality of them. So it's funny. Larry was all about engineering. Jesus, he was a character. So the shunt itself. Now, this was an interesting story that came out of it, that one of the shock absorbers got flung out onto someone's balcony, and it was a fair distance away. It's like 100 metres away.
Yeah, up a floor as well. So
yeah, that was pretty wild. But initially, the Speed Cafe broke that story that they sent out, and all the other media outlets brought it. But Supercars didn't believe them. That they thought some Fred had just picked up a shocker and took a photo, just being a bit of a clown.
People always have Olin stampers in their hotel room, don't they?
Yeah, of course. I've got one in mine. Why wouldn't you? Yeah, so it was a bit.
It was pretty easy once you saw it to know what it come from.
Yeah. So a bit of denial,
Well, I don't know.
It was a bit funny though.
It probably needed to be clarified. You know, if you control your own media, you'd want to make sure the story was right before you started saying you were slinging car parts at balconies. So.
Yeah, it was a fair distance though. It was. It just goes to show you though, no matter what sort of category, whether it's a stadium truck or a Super 2, Super Ute or Supercars, when they get in an accident like that, anything can fling off.
Yeah, it's a lot of energy to go somewhere. It's got to go somewhere, so.
You can't go putting tethers on shockers and that sort of thing.
Oh, you can't plan for that. Unfortunately, no one got hurt. And you know, we in Australia are under the CAMS and the FIA system have the safest racing anywhere in the world. Like,
yeah, agree.
And sometimes we think it's a bit bureaucratic or whatever, but when you see something like that happen, you go, okay.
Yeah, but you can't single out any single category saying that it's 100% safe. I mean, it's racing. Something like that happens, and that's
it. How you
so,
plan for that, you know. And
so I'm probably referring more towards the super trucks more than anything. A couple of years ago, but
when we lost a wheel and a centre broke out of a wheel, and
but they fixed. You know, they
for that was an easy fix. You know, I don't think we needed to be banned. It was like the two things have happened. What do we need to fix it?
Yep.
And you know, we eventually got there, which is great.
Racing generally, Saturday wasn't too livened up, only because of pace cars.
Yeah.
It's the only thing that saved it. Sunday, it was a bit more of a pit battle, more so than on the track.
Well, it's the same thing. You can't pass, but the one car was making a lot of passing.
Yeah.
Was Scotty Pye was on it.
He
was able to. He had plenty of front end. He was able to pass cars, move for the pack. Courtney a little bit too. But definitely Scotty Pye. So they've definitely made some improvements down there at Walkinshaw, which is ironic. I think we've just been there and what they're going to go through, and you give them a bit of a stitch up that it's takes them too long to get something done. But there's definitely something going on there, and they had a really, really good race car. Really good race car. If they had been able to qualify up the front, I think they had race winning pace.
It's always the same. Exactly what you said. Like always towards the end of the year, they get going.
Scott gets going, you know.
Well, Scott's he's fighting for his drive though, isn't he? Or a drive.
Yeah, I think he's pretty close to a deal.
Yeah. I
think he's going to end up with a drive, but when he puts in a performance like that, do you want to let him go?
I wouldn't have thought so.
But anyway.
I reckon he'd be pretty good value for money, basically, because he wouldn't be on $1 million. So
yeah, the way he drove on the weekend was fantastic. The car was good. He passed lots of cars and he was getting it done. So
I was talking to I was with Robbie Gordon, came up to we had a little corporate area with the stadium trucks.
The Russell Ingall stand.
I was up there, mate, signing autographs. It's nice to get the pen back out again.
How'd you go? Did you sign a few on the weekend?
Mate, I got to tell you, you did warn me that the next Supercars race that I would go to, and this has been the first one.
Yeah.
You said, look out. No, and we're not pumping up our own tyres here, but every single person that came up didn't want to talk about racing, didn't want to talk about Supercars. They just want to talk about the show. Every single person, I love the show, love the show, love the show, you know. It's just all about this. Seriously, it was out of control the whole weekend about it. And great, and thanks to everyone that did come up and came out.
Yeah,
and,
it's quite. Everyone from the officials to the kids to just everyone at the track likes it. So.
Yeah, but I think a lot of it was because it seemed they find out things. And that's what there's always about is giving knowledge to the race fans, something that they didn't know. Because, you know, I think a lot of other shows and programs talk about things that people already know about.
Yeah.
You know, I think we bring a different aspect of it and people go away and go, oh, I didn't know that. Oh,
and we've got the time. Like, we've never I think that's the biggest difference and why we need to leave it on this format is because we can take the time to do what we want.
Yeah. And I think it's important because if you understand the sport that you follow better, then you enjoy it more. And I think that's really important, you know, if you understand it and go, that way you can, at least when you watch a race, you can go, oh yeah, okay, oh yeah, I remember the boys said about that, you know, so I think it was really cool. It was definitely good to get back out of a meeting. I wandered over to the pits on Friday for 10 minutes and...
How'd you go?
I bumped into a lot of people from teams and the teams are great. Like, I've got a lot of respect for, some people think I smash Supercars up a bit and I'm bitter about things, but I'm not.
Well, yeah, a bit.
But not the teams.
Not anymore. Not good?
But not the teams. No, but I'm not bitter of the teams. I've got a lot of friends, a lot of relationships over the years with team members, mechanics, engineers, team owners, and it was good to catch up with a few of them and got a great, you know, we sit down and have a bit of a chat. It's funny though, a couple of people from the top end of town that spotted me in management and especially TV land that spotted me that did the old the big
bumping into an ex-girlfriend.
Yeah, that you owe money to. Shut up. Just a big detour. And you go, really, you know, and yeah, they're the ones I'm suspicious of too. So I know who you are too, by the way. But anyway, I'm not worried about them. It was good to catch up.
I don't think you should worry about any of it, mate.
It was actually good to catch up from people from the teams and a couple of the drivers. It was good. Yeah. So that part of it. But after 10 minutes, I was sort of over it, you know, and I actually like hanging back out with the trucks.
With the people.
With the real people. Yeah, it was good. It was actually really good. Rightio, now talking to Robbie Gordon, as I said, up with Robbie Gordon, and he was watching a bit of the Supercars race.
Oh, yeah,
and we were watching together. And, you know, it's funny, and unprompted, he said, you know what these Supercars need? I said, what? He said, they need all the aero taken off of them. He said, they need to be where NASCAR got too much aero on them, and the racing has been processional.
Yeah.
That's been creeping up as well. He said, they need to be NASCAR 10 years ago. No aero on them, cut all the under tray off, just a fictitious wing on the thing just to make it look a bit specky. And it's his first words that came out, he said, that's what, straight away.
I think everyone knows it, Russ. It's just how they get there without wasting a lot of money. So if they wait...
It's not hard though, it's not hard to take aero off.
Well, I don't think it is. What have you got to do to the car? Have you got to make
cut the under tray out?
You've got to cut the under tray out and make a new rear wing.
Well, what's that in the whole scheme of things?
Well, I don't think it is because when you talk to some of the team owners, they're like, oh, we've got to do this gradually. We're going to waste a lot of money. But I saw.
What are they doing now?
Well, we blew the 100 and probably 200 splitters in half on the weekend. You know, like eventually you're going to get rid of all that stuff. So, but there has to be a plan to cut back next year as much as you can without throwing everything away. I
think it's going to have to be a massive cut too. Like, you know, to do it in bits and pieces over the next 3 years, too late, too little, too late. You know, just have a swing at it.
Well, you got to cut as much of the under tray as you can out and lay the wing back as much as you can.
Yeah.
And then have at it. So.
Yeah. But I see someone like Robbie Gordon, who is the young version of Larry Perkins.
Yep.
ran his own cars, builds his own cars, knows engineering, knows racing, has run his own team in IndyCar, NASCAR, the Baja 1000, anything with 4 wheels and engine. If someone like him just sits there and watches the race and goes, that's what that category needs to do to make the racing better, you got to take some note.
Well, you could just drop a car off to him and go, we'll leave it with you for a month and bring it back. Tell us what you've done with it.
Well, that's it, you know.
That'd get it done.
I got to tell you got to take advice from people like that know racing. Stop taking advice from people that don't know racing, that just know commercial. You know.
Yeah.
No good. They got it. The other thing he said, why do they bring out competition yellow? The racing's boring. Bring out competition yellow.
Well, the one that really upset me was when the muffler come off the car and Percat ran over it.
Yeah.
So that to me, they filmed it for 2 laps sitting on the side of the track.
Yep.
Two reasons. If you're on race, and this is why I say supercars need more influence in race control, because from a commercial point of view, any opportunity you have to pull a yellow flag, you need to do it.
Do it.
But that one was a no-brainer. It was actually unsafe, and it got left on the side of the road till Percat nearly ran over it and wrecked his car and wrecked his race.
Yeah.
Like,
I was sitting there watching and going, bring the yellow out, let's go.
yeah.
Like, and it's a muffler, heavy bit of kit, you know.
So I don't get that. I'm sure it will be reviewed, because Brad Jones won't be happy about it. Nick Percat won't be happy about it. It was pretty clear to see that it was a fairly big piece of debris on the track. Wasn't
absolutely
fictitious debris we had at Bathurst. It was actually debris.
Hey, let me throw a couple of ideas that I've been sitting on for a couple of years.
Right.
Not a couple of months, a couple of years,
Okay.
right? And I brought this up with one of the team owners when I was still involved with Supercars. And here's 2 things I got talking about making racing better, and something that you could bring in pretty well straight away, wouldn't be that hard to initiate, right? The first thing was pit stops. We're all talking about pit stops and the Bathurst thing and all the rest of it. What do you reckon if you brought the crews down to two people only doing tyre changes, right? Now think about it, because you get teams that are sharing booms at the moment, always complaining that, their 2 crew, they supply good, or the other 2 crew from the other ones are duds, or that sort of thing. That solves that problem.
2 guns.
Because you're just 2 guns, so you reduce your guns, which are a huge cost though, keeping those guns running, because they're bloody high-powered technical bits of kit. So 2 crew, but the second part about it is, it'll bring in a strategy play. Because if you've got 2 guys in a pit stop that have to do fronts and rears, right? You may elect that if you come in, you go, you know what? I think I'm just going to do rears. I'll do a faster pit stop, but I'm going to suffer later on down the road because my front or rears will go off. Yeah,
and that will work only if the tyre degradation is greater than you can get an advantage of changing tyres. So if it takes you another 8 seconds to change 2 tyres, and the tyre deg at the end of the race is only 6 seconds, no one's going to do it.
Yeah, right, okay. That'll depend on track as well, though.
Yeah, so
soft tyre rounds, that sort of thing.
I don't think, and take the example of that is Courtney and Slade on the weekend, where I think they were 13th, 14th, last 2 cars on the lead lap, 11 laps to go, come in, put greens on.
Yep.
Courtney picked through the pack till he eventually got into Jaime, but he got 2 spots.
Yep.
And Slade didn't really go anywhere on new tyres, and they're racing guys that have been on tyres for 30 laps. That will work, but we need a tyre that wears out.
Okay, which it should have.
Which is what NASCAR do.
Which it should have all along.
NASCAR has a tyre that wears out, and there's advantage to take longer in the pits.
That should have been the other thing as well. That should have been another thing on my list here is the tyre, because I've always
those 2 go hand in hand.
The tyre is too durable, you know. I think it may be Dunlop too, not wanting to see their tyre degrade, but it's racing. And as long as it's made clear, advertised clearly that it is a soft tyre, that it's
the other part of that, Russ, is the teams and the engineering people around the team just get very good at working out. So you'll make a rule, and they'll all, by the time they get to the racetrack, they'll all migrate to the same strategy, because they'll have all worked out the optimum way to run that tyre and run that is. So the computers are working it out.
Oh no, I just think it might bring a different aspect and another part of it. Here's a left field run, right, where you probably have to get a little bit more tech head. And
if your fuel takes longer than your tyres, you'll do 4 anyway. So
okay.
So you'd need a shorter fuel. You'd need
But there's less people in pit lane too.
That's right. You need,
might
but
notice.
to do with that, you need a fuel tank that's got less capacity.
Yeah.
So it's quicker to fill up.
Yeah.
So if you're waiting on fuel, you may as well do 4 tyres.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
But it might have a bit of merit, you know. Just
Mate,
looks
cut-
a bit
cut
cooler.
the fuel tank
2
in
guys
half.
running front and back, and you know, a bit like NASCAR when they do side to side. You know what I mean? That's why I sort of got it.
That'd
from.
work, and then you just go, mate, you can only just give everyone a churn that's got 40 litres in it and say whenever you stop, you can only put one of them in.
Put one. Yeah.
There's plenty of ways you can do it.
Yeah. Maybe simplify to go forward. You know.
But this is what the commission should be coming up
I
with.
know. I can't believe we're sitting here doing it. Like we've done all year. We're
Yeah.
sitting here coming up with all this stuff. We're not even getting paid to do it.
Yeah.
Maybe the commission should pay us to do it. Hey, the other thing is, right, is left field, right? Left field.
Yeah.
We're talking about competition yellows, talking to Robbie Gordon about it. What say there was a competition yellow that was fan voted? So Supercars ran an online thing, right?
Yeah, vote for what lap you want.
Yeah, at a certain lap, right? It opens and the fans can get on there, and then when it reaches a peak, right? That's when the competition. So the fans vote when the yellow comes out. So you got fan engagement there. If they're sitting back and going, oh, this is a snooze fest, right? Right, let's start voting, right? And all of a sudden, they're sitting up in race control. Someone from Supercars is sitting there with their laptop on Facebook or wherever it may be.
When it reaches 1,000 clicks.
They go, right, yellow flag out now. Done, competition yellow, fan voted.
Oh, I like the idea.
So that way, Supercars aren't instigating it, so they can't say, oh, you just brought that out because of a Holden was in front or a Ford. It's fan voted.
Yeah.
Competition yellow.
You could still manipulate it by voting heaps of times, but write some algorithm and get a computer to vote. But what you're saying is a good idea.
Yeah,
get the fans involved.
Get more ways to get the fans involved in it. So
well,
there you go.
Why don't we do it in stadium trucks next year?
Yeah.
The competition's going to... Let's trial it in stadium trucks.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
It'd be pretty. I don't know.
Fan yellow.
Like I said, for the last couple of years I've been and I've mentioned it to people and they always look at me like I'm a dickhead. So I go, okay, well, maybe there's something I don't know about or not. But I always think, like you do, involving the fans in the deal. So
good idea.
I don't know. So Supercars, I've got the IP on that. So if you want to use it, it's going to cost you $100,000.
They'd be divided. All the traditional people that love the sport will tell you stupid, and the people that want to watch some entertainment will tell you it's great. So. But you've got to try these things.
Right, it's only the fans that count.
Yeah. but all that, it's just,
Hey, another quick things. A couple of team things that went down, which we should probably mention because that sort of pricked my ears up. Garry Rogers benching Stanaway for not turning up to a driver signing. A team merchandise sign, because we know Garry is very, very, and we'll hear from him with his interview we did with him. He's very team orientated. It's all about the team.
Well, it's obviously the straw that broke the camel's back, isn't it?
Yeah. I think maybe a bit more to it.
Pissed him off one too many times, and
there's obviously plenty of friction there. It can't be just that one instance. There must be a bit more to it.
Yeah, and Garry said something like old-fashioned manners and courtesy never go out of fashion or something.
Yeah.
Who knows what happens, but
it's a bit more to it. It was pretty severe though.
You'd have to do something pretty stupid to upset Garry Rogers.
Yeah.
Right. You'd get a pull through first, and the way you handled the pull through would be decided whether you kept the drive or not.
Well, the only other one
he obviously wasn't picking up what Garry was putting down.
The only one I can remember of is was it Craig Gore when he ran that Team Australia? Yeah. David Bernard left his helmet at the workshop or the hotel or something.
Gold Coast here.
Was it Gold Coast? And it might have been up here, and he fined him $10,000. Yeah. An internal fine of $10,000. So it was like, that's the only thing I can think of there.
Dylan O'Keefe got a run, so it was a positive.
Yeah, true. He got a call up. He wasn't expecting.
And done some laps, which was good for him, and tricky situation for him. But when those things happen, you got to grab them with both hands.
And he did. Yeah,
grab that wave and paddle and stay on it. So.
Jonathan Webb, that was the second one part of this, coming out and saying it can't get any worse, meaning I presume he wasn't talking about his team, but
I think he was.
Team and Jack. Well, I think it was angled probably more towards Jack LeBrock. efforts this year because he took over the driving duties as far as qualifying, running the lead driver. Mind you, they got 13th on Sunday, which is probably the best result since this year.
Yeah, obviously that relationship's broken down too, and they've got some contractual arrangements that says Jack's got to drive the car, but doesn't say where and when. So Webby's just gone, well, fuck it, I'll have a drive. My car, I'm going to drive it. Obviously doesn't need his services next year. Got a deal going with Courtney.
Yep.
Probably thinks got a chance of winning some more races if I co-drive with Courtney, so I'll get in the car and get some miles and get myself up to speed.
It's just it's just funny, those two instances of those two team owners.
Come back to the golden rule, mate.
Yeah.
He who has the gold makes the rules. Just invoke the golden rule.
Fair enough. Well, they definitely made that pretty clear over the weekend.
Yeah.
Also, so just to finish off the GC 600.
But Brock didn't throw his toys out of the car.
No.
He handled it very well.
It was actually pretty cool.
Yeah, I reckon he handled it very well.
Yeah, he could have probably loosed pretty hard if he wanted to.
So good on him. Still drove well. Did what he had to do. Obviously, it's not a good situation, but good on him.
The Courtney Perkins or the Perkins D'Alberto incident on the Saturday, right?
Yeah.
So I want to get to that because there's something that happened a few years before that, which was quite interesting about the overtake. So Perkins got a 15-second penalty for nudging D'Alberto off the track, off the back chicane, off the beach straight. But we always talk about overtaking here and responsibility, that all the responsibility isn't on the car doing the overtaking, that a lot of it is about the car that's being overtaken.
Yeah.
Right, so let's firstly go to our great monitor here and let's have a quick look at the incident itself. So this is the Perkins incident, right? So Jack fires down the inside, locks it up, gives D'Alberto a little bit of a nudge. D'Alberto couldn't get, so okay, let's go back. Here we go. Perkins down the inside.
Yeah.
Gives him a little bit of a nudge. Third time, just a bit of sport. So he's down there. D'Alberto must know he's there.
Well, he knows he's there because he's driving down the middle of the racetrack, mate.
Yeah.
He's not on the racing line. He's in the middle of the racetrack trying to squeeze him.
So there, I mean, he's got mirror. D'Alberto's got, and this isn't a D'Alberto smash-up session, by the way. This is just say, you can hear him. His tyre was starting to lock.
Well, he knows he's there because car 12 should be another car length to the left there on the fence. That's the turning point. So he's mid-tracked it. He's come down there and mid-tracked it because he knows Jack's got to run. He's got a mirror. Yeah. D'Alberto's got a mirror on the left-hand side. Hasn't been shaved off, which happens around here. So you can't use that excuse as well. So we go in a little bit further. So we're going in, nudging in. Jack's starting to turn in now. Yeah. Isn't he, for the corner? He's starting to turn in. turning in. You know, so we got a little bit further. Gap's actually opened up a little bit here. So you think, oh yeah, happy days. You know, we got no real dramas. But at this stage here, when D'Alberto would have seen him by this stage. Well, you poke him in the eye, mate. Yeah, pretty well. You go, yep, no problems. So Jack's locked up. You're about to see some smoke coming off the tyres, you know, but continues to turn in until contact's made there, right? So pretty near, but at that stage, he hasn't reached the outside of the track. He's locked up. He knows he's going to go straight ahead. The only reason he's locked up, right, is because he's seen D'Alberto's turning in and he has to push the brake pedal a bit harder. Yeah, to try and make the corner. Yeah. So this is what I mean. So at that point there, so they ricochet off. You know, Tony realises he's not going to make the corner. And Tony does the right thing, has to go to the state road because either that or in the fence. No, he did a good call, but he should have. To me, he should have bailed out. As soon as there was overlap, it was Jack's corner. Exactly right. Okay, now let me take you back to an instance at the very same corner at the GC. It's Mark Winterbottom. Oh, this is the big slide job. Scott McLaughlin. Yeah, where he does. Look at this. Oh, bang. So he's made the corner there. Exactly the same. Actually, he was more out of control than what Jack was. But Mark Winterbottom knew he wasn't going to make the corner. He knew there wasn't going to be space for him. Yep. So he's left room. Well. So he's left room. So we'll see it again here. We'll see him coming in through the chicane. He's got a good run on him. Good run, mid-track, very similar. Yep.
What?
Locks the rears,
Locks the
fires
rears.
it in.
But look at Mark. Mark's gone to the right and opened the corner up and gone, I'm getting away from him. You know, I'm getting away. Winterbottom, look, Mark's actually turned to the right. Winterbottom's turned to the right to get away and then just slotted in behind, you know.
So your point is the guy being overtaken has a duty of care.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've
At
proven
that point, the only person that can avoid the collision, the guy that's getting overtaken. You
Yeah.
got to work out whether you want to be in the fence or keep racing.
Yeah.
And-
exactly right.
Mate,
I mean, like I said, we're not
Well, there's
smashing.
that's why
we're
he's
not
won
smashing-
championships, mate.
Yeah, we're not smashing D'Alberto or Perkins up here.
no.
I'm just saying there's two there that were so similar. When I saw that, and I kept that pass of McLaughlin's in my head, and I thought, and when I played it, I got, you know what? It's always the same. You know, sometimes you got to say, if you're the car being overtaken, do I want to die or do I just want to lose one position? You got a choice.
But the young guys watching this that are racing, it's a good point.
Yeah.
Because
Exactly right.
no one's interested in the hard luck story.
No, so with Tony there, decided to die and then lost 10 places or whatever it lost, you know. So you got to make a decision in racing which way you want to go, you know, and sometimes things don't. I mean, you're talking a car that's got high aero, very short braking distances. When you make the passes, man, you're on the edge. You can't help it being on the edge, you know. So I just thought it was. I just thought it was interesting.
I thought it was interesting. I don't think Beardo was a driving standards guy back when that happened, but
I think it has to take into account.
Good to get him in get a review.
We're gonna have to get Beardo in here. Yeah.
Because whenever you see that stuff and you think, oh, that's not right, and you talk to him, it goes, you get a pretty logical, clear explanation of why he's done it. So.
No, I think that's a really good point. We're going to cover it. We haven't spoke about MotoGP or F1, so we'll jump onto F1. There's been a race in Mexico and a race in Russia. Have you watched anything?
Well, I just saw the bit where Vettel didn't like the trophy.
I got to tell you, look, I'm a general motorsport. You won't get a bigger petrol head than me. I'm really struggling with F1 at the moment. It's just a snooze fest. I don't think I've made it to the end in one. Like, it's just, I fall asleep.
I think a bit of that's because, like, you watch it because Daniel was in it and he hasn't got a chance. It's just, there's no want to watch it, is there?
Yeah, well, it's just the results. Results from Russia, Mercedes, Ferrari, Mercedes.
Dumb penalties again.
Results from Mexico, Mercedes, Ferrari. You know, it's a two-team championship. It's just, I can't believe we talk a bit about supercars here and what they should and shouldn't be doing to make the racing better. How's F1? Like, how the hell? We're talking 4 and 5 seconds difference between the field. You know, cars getting lapped 1 or 2 laps.
Fifth place a lap down.
It's just, man. So I don't think we can even give it any air.
Well, that's not.
Yeah, we won't.
No.
On the flip side, MotoGP it just keeps delivering, seriously. But MotoGP at the moment, and all the categories, Moto 2 and Moto 3. Moto 2 in particular has been real good this year as well. Moto 3 always is. They're just lunatics. But MotoGP, how's on the weekend? So they cancelled qualifying.
With the high wind?
High wind. Typical Phillip Island, isn't it?
Yeah, you just never know, do you?
Yeah, so like Barry Sheen always used to say, what does he say, the gateway to hypothermia. Yeah. Just out of control, that. And there was a couple of riders actually got blown off down the straight. I think it was one of the KTM riders got unloaded. Actually, blew a big gust of wind off, blew him off at 330 k's plus or whatever they're doing down the end, straight off the bike. Like, it's just out of control. But a really good race again. Marquez, Cal Crutchlow, and Jack Miller, third on, which was a bloody got it. He sort of inherited third on the last lap.
It was still good to get
it. Was still good. Jesus, he was pretty happy about it. But that was, I mean, it's just the bikes there were so fast. I just can't get my head around it, how quick they are.
It's a great event to go to.
Yeah. It looked busy for Phillip Island too.
Oh, it always is, mate. It's that MotoGP bikes or any sort of high-end motorcycle around Phillip Island is one of the best things you'll ever witness from a motorsport perspective, isn't it?
It's one, yeah, and sometimes sports are better viewed on TV or online. That's one of the sports live where you got to see it live at least once in your life. It's like going to Bathurst. You got to do it once in your life.
Yeah.
Just unbelievable. But Mark Marquez obviously won the championship. Yeah, so
still
he's
rocking. Could be the
just.
It's still young, mate. And,
I know.
And then what about Rossi? You reckon he's going to have to hang the helmet up?
Yeah, I reckon he's even the commentators who, you know, like
has he gone
never
too
say
long?
anything bad. Well, that's what Jeremy Burgess came out and
he
said.
Did, eh?
You know, his long-time friend, mechanic, engineer, said, "Yep, time. You have to look at time on it." So, but geez, what a career though. You know, to 40 years of age and still be competing like that, bloody good. Just general supercars stuff as well. Super 2, Super 3. I just remembered I picked up my paper.
The combo.
Yeah, combining it. They're talking about combining Super 2 and Super 3. They're obviously combining it because they realise there's not going to be enough numbers in Super 2.
I think that's the main driver. So you've got to have cars on the grid. Ultimately, if you didn't have to do that, you would keep those two championships separate. But
because they're different cars as well, aren't they?
Yeah, and with those
one's Project Blueprint cars,
which they have run together in Super 2. Last time was 2017.
Yep.
Both cars were in the category.
Yep.
I think it can work. I think they probably have to do it to get the numbers.
Because they're saying, Sean Seamer's come out saying the intention is to streamline the pathway to the Virgin Australia Touring Car, to the main game, basically.
Yeah, and
there's a lot of fluff there. The basis of it is that they're probably only going to be 10 Super 2 cars. I talked to a few of the parents, you do too, that are in the Super 2, so they physically can't afford it anymore. It's too expensive, you know. So, well, the only thing that Sean Seamer, he contradicts himself a little bit here. He says he wants to streamline the path to supercars, to the main game. But now they're talking about, we'll combine them, but also have less rounds. That's one category, Paul, that you don't want less rounds because you're training drivers. You're training drivers to try and get them into the main game and give them experience. How is cutting events back?
I think it's just a cost, mate. So if you got 7 rounds, you go back to 6, you've trimmed 70 grand out of your budget.
Yeah, but again, you don't get the experience.
Well,
make the sport cheaper. Make the cars cheaper. Well, they can't make the main game cars cheaper, so I suppose they've got no hope in this.
Like, market force determines what you pay to run a Super 2 or a Super 3 car. So if you go back to when Scott McLaughlin was doing Dunlop Series or Webb was doing Dunlop Series, Stone Brothers and Triple Eight and people like that, they were charging 700 grand back then.
Yep.
To do it. So what can you get? I know the budget for me to go and run a Super 3 car, what I will spend running that car, not taking into any capital expenditure or making any money out of it, I'm going to spend 350 grand.
Right.
That's what's going to go in and that's what's going to come out.
Yep.
And to do Super 2, you're probably going to, 500 grand's going to come in and 500 grand's going to go out. That's just what it costs to do it.
Yep. But they've got to make it cheaper, dude, because how you can't afford that sort of money. Because in the
we used to be able to afford.
You refer to the early days, but there was more sponsorship kicking around back then. It's just not the sponsorship money now.
Well, I think
it's just too hard to get the corporate dollar.
Yeah, well, no one's doing Super 2 and Super 3 with corporate money, mate.
Yeah.
If you've got sponsorship there, it's a business to business deal. It's friends helping out. It's you're not going to cover your nut on what you're doing. So. Yeah. I agree with you. Should they be together? Ideally not. At the moment, they probably need to be for the thing to survive. Do they need to be cheaper? Yeah, they need to be cheaper.
Yeah. I just don't think reducing rounds is the way to go. You've got to give these drivers
I think 6
experience.
is okay, mate. 6 rounds is okay.
It's thin. It's thin.
It's
6
always
times
been
in a car,
6.
bugger all testing. I don't know. I just think if you're going to train these young guys up, you need mileage. You need mileage. I mean, the days
Open
now.
the testing up.
Well, that's what I mean. When we used to test, like when I was with Larry, I was still learning that I knew how to race, but I was learning a touring car because I'd done bugger all racing in them.
Yeah.
But we'd go out testing, Dunlop tyre testing for 3 or 4 days in a row. And you're just running. I mean, and you can't make up for that. Like, the trouble is, it's, you got no test days and now no racing. How are the guys going to get experience? I don't know. They got to have a good think about reducing costs on that, because it's just, you're not going to get your next wave. All you're going to get is a bunch of rich kids coming up that can't afford it.
I think you'll get a wave, mate. It comes in, like, you've had times when guys have come in and guys have come out, but yeah, there's a lull coming. Definitely, there's a lull coming. But
yeah.
I think the pathway thing is there, and what we need to see, and I've spoke about this, is, and I've put my views forward on this, and hopefully Supercars will act, is if you win the Toyota 86 Series, give the guy some money, a decent chunk of money, give him $100 grand and say, you got to go spend that in Super 3.
Yep, okay.
If you win Super 3, there's $250, $300.
Yep.
You got to spend that doing Super 2. You win Super 2, there's $500,000 to get yourself a drive. Now that's what I think he's referring to with the pathway.
Yep.
So, yep, we've got to reduce costs in that category. I think with the control shock coming into, and if you think about Super 2, nothing should filter down from the main game unless it's 2 years old.
2 years old, yep. Yep, okay.
And then the teams have got to think that it's not a place where they can sell all their equipment and make money out of it.
Yep.
It's a place where they can get rid of their some redundancy. They can train their new engineers. They can train their drivers. And the only team that does this really well and still does it really well is Erebus. They look at young kids. They help them out. They put some programs around, and what they've done, and I'm close to this because I probably know more about it, but what they've done with Brock Feeney this year, they haven't spent any money with the guy, and it hasn't cost them anything, but they've included him in a lot of things they've done, and they give him miles in a car.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's a good point.
And Penske have also done this. And Brad Jones does it as well. So there's ways where we can get this thing back on track. The want is to do it, but we're going to, like, the market's going to be flooded with shockers.
Yep.
So putting a control shocker on the Super 2, Super 3 car would save the teams money, but not when there's going to be a heap of control shocks kicking around, a heap of, like, Roland's going to have probably 100 shockers. He's going to have nothing to do with it. So if I need a shock for my car now, I'm like, mate, I'm going to give you $200 for your shock that that's worth $4 grand. So that's what's got to happen.
That's great. Okay.
Am I making sense?
So yeah. So basically, the main game teams, as a whole, propping up, or not even propping up, but just doing the right thing by the Super 2, Super 3 with components. So it's not cash as such. But as good as. It might be enough to get someone across the line.
Look, I know teams that. I know when Jack Perkins was doing Super 2 that Roland helped him out with an engine.
Yeah.
No one knows that.
Yeah.
But I know. Like, there's things that they can do to do and help.
Which is going to benefit them down the long run anyway. It just helps the whole system out.
It helps the whole system.
Yeah. I'm with you. Very, very, very good points.
So that's the pathways I think he's referring to. But we've all got to get on board.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. It's got to work as a whole.
Yeah.
Okay. And include the team owners and managers of Super 2 and Super 3 along with any potential meetings that are going on, because that has to do with the whole.
Well, the
whole
guy
system.
that's probably going to be not happy with this is Matt White. He runs 3 cars in
the Nissan Ultimus.
And he
leading the championship.
And he runs 3 cars in Super 3, and he does a very good job of both.
Absolutely.
He does a better job of that than the main game team's doing it, because that's his core business. It's going to be very difficult for him to run 6 cars at one race meeting because he's just not geared up for it. So I think they're going to pick up some guys, and they might lose a few cars as well. So
they're going to have to be very careful how this is managed.
Yeah.
But include everyone in on the conversation.
Get a good consultation going, get it through. But
hey, during the GC 600 week, we had a chance to get Garry Rogers in here.
Yeah, we did.
Which was pretty cool because he's given a lot of interviews, and of course his video has come out where he was very emotional about his announcement that he's pulling out of supercars after decades in the sport. But it was good actually. Like I said, he's given interviews, but a lot of people just were interviewing him about 3.5 minutes of talking about why he left the sport. We actually want to know a little bit more about Garry Rogers. He's everyone knows he's one of the real figures, and I suppose you could call him a bit of the class clown of supercars, because he's very out there, very introverted.
To me, he's what supercars is about.
Yeah, exactly right.
It's
had a personality.
Had a personality.
Yeah,
was prepared to do what he had to do to run his race team, but he wasn't extravagant with it.
No, absolutely. He brought colour to the whole paddock, which is good. So it was great to sit down with him. So hope you enjoy this. Sit back, and we had him right here in the studio, and he came in to see us. So thanks very much to Garry and Barry for coming in, and sit back and enjoy, and we'll catch you in a minute. Garry Rogers.
Russell Ingall, your powers of observation are amazing.
Thanks, mate.
Good.
You've made it to Enforcer and the Dude.
Well, I have, and I'm very pleased. I've heard so much about this show. I haven't actually seen it because I'm very analogue, but I am intending to move into the digital world very soon. When I do that...
I've got a record player over there. I knew you were coming.
That's too modern. I need to carry a pigeon, smoke signals, things like that.
It's very easy, mate. It's on YouTube.
Good. On what? YouTube? Is that a station?
That interweb thing, you know?
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I'll learn.
Yeah.
Basil, I need to learn that.
You've had a busy couple of weeks.
I've had a very busy busy life, actually, not just a couple of weeks. Yeah.
Well, we'll get to that, because I want to creep up to it.
Sure.
So I want to make you feel comfortable, feel relaxed, and then you can just unload, all right? So to speak.
Where's the door?
Right.
I actually managed that before I got here, so let's just move on now, right?
Cut. Actually, it's not G-rated. We're good.
No, we can leave
you
that
do
in there.
whatever you want.
Yeah.
We get away with a fair bit on the show. So.
Okay.
Nothing wrong with going for
I think
that.
we better be a bit careful with that. But anyway, we'll see how we go.
We probably did.
That's it.
So, Appendix J, Holden. That was the start of the Garry Rogers motorsport career.
Yep, 1963. What a wonderful time that was.
Was it good?
It's great. It's fantastic. Racing was fun.
It's funny, I was looking, because whenever we get a guest on, I just did Larry Perkins, and I learnt stuff that I didn't even, well, both did, that we didn't know about him. And you go back
He's
through
still
the
a baby,
archives. Huh?
I'm the granddaddy, don't
Yeah.
forget.
Oh,
I'm the oldest.
yeah,
right. Anyway,
but-
next.
But it was good though. It's good going back and seeing some of that, and see everyone looks. I don't think we look in the rear vision mirror enough. And you look at some of the racing back then; it was still bloody good. Yeah, the cars weren't to what they are now.
No, they weren't, but the racing was close, and back then you helped each other race a bit. You still help today, but not the way it was then. If you had needed some odds and ends, people would help each other to a reasonable level. You didn't want to prop everyone up, but you had a reasonable, helpful attitude.
Like
Especially
Speedway
in terms-
still is.
Yeah, exactly.
Speedway's still
That's
like
right.
that. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's probably why it's still pretty successful around the place with grassroots races.
What, sprint
Is it
car racing?
Speedway?
It's the best racing there is, sprint car
Well,
racing.
you have
There's
an
no doubt
issue,
about
and there's 20 blokes that you're trying to compete with, all trying to help you. So
it. And if they crash and burn and wreck, they get ready for the next race. It's not all too hard. Can't do this, you know. No. Pack her up and go home.
but the cars
No
are
way.
simple.
Yes, the cars are simple. Mind you, they've got a bit more unsimple and a bit more expensive in recent years, as you would know. I mean, you're in it, sort of.
Yeah, I was in it for a long time, but yeah, the car's pretty simple and easy to work on. And
They are.
Now going back through, you've been a pretty solid Holden man, or you? Yeah. The only sort of deviation that I can see in what you've raced was a BDA Escort.
What I personally drove, yeah, that's right. It was an Escort Sports sedan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But apart from that, it's been all Holdens.
Yep.
You've been a Holden man for a long time. Is there any reason, or it's just the way the cards fell
It's
when
much
you were
back-
racing?
Well, back then, I mean, really, Appendix J racing was all about early model Holdens, and then someone got a Mark III Zephyr, which was an absolute rocket ship. Don Tofflin, actually, Mark had gone from Werribee.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, actually, he raced that car. And then all the Vauxhall Veloxes came along and things like that. But yeah, for myself, Holden was an economical way to go. And not only that, over the time you sort of meet a few people and it sort of happens, you know. And we never really, other than obviously when we got into Super Tourism, the Hondas and the Primera, that's a different era.
Yeah. But that's when you sort of stepped away from it. But why is that? I mean, what got you into the whole deal to start with? Like wanting to be a driver as such? Is that?
Oh, well, actually, I looked in the mirror one day and I thought, you got a bit of skill. Tell me about the driver. You know, be money available on the market for you. No, seriously.
What's the real story?
No, actually, I loved horses, like horses
okay.
that you ride. And I had horses and I used to break a few horses in for a bit of a living and did all that sort of thing, which I enjoyed. But my brother was a doctor. And when I was at school doing all this, my mother said to, when I got the chop from school, my mum said to my dad, he has to go and do an apprenticeship. You're not allowed, you know, you've got to do something rather than just poke around with horses. And the only other thing I liked was cars. So I got an apprenticeship as a motor mechanic, right along. But I always wanted to. I just liked, Jack Myers headers and things like that sounded good when they get across the shop windows and things. You really got into it back then.
Yeah.
You did. You're too young, so you don't remember.
I know what Jack Myers is.
I knew you would, right?
I know that.
Anyway, so that's how it all happened. So I got an early model Holden, triple downdraft Strombergs.
Yeah.
Hey,
I've worked on them.
I was
I actually
absolutely
have worked on
fine.
them.
Anyway, I went racing with that car at Winton, and through pure fluke, it wasn't my skill in daring, but I actually won the first race I went in.
Yeah.
So, and of course, not only did I think it was a good idea, I thought, well, I'm going to be a champion. No, I didn't think that at that stage, so I persevered and kept going. And that's how it all started, really.
It's pretty cool though. Working on your own stuff.
Yep.
So that was because I know how you run your race team, and you want people that race your cars to actually know how they work. Was that you back then? Is that because of how you started?
Well, no, back then you'd had to do that because you didn't have any money. That was it. You didn't have a mechanic. I mean, your girlfriend and your mates were your helpers.
Yeah.
They helped pay for the fuel. They helped. It's just how it was. And people laugh when I talk to young guys at work about this. They reckon I've got 10 heads growing, but it's how it was. It seriously was. You worked on the car overnight after work. You had a few cans when you finished, or long necks in those days.
Yeah.
Got it done. Hired a trailer from some trailer mob. Took your car to the races. They all came along, helped you pay for the fuel. That was true. It's exactly how it was.
It's a cool way to go racing.
And it is.
Oh, there's plenty of people still racing like that
Exactly,
now. So
there is. And I'll bet you they're having plenty of fun.
they are.
Well, you're going through it again now with Nash, with the Hyundai Excels. Trailer
Yeah,
racing, roll it in the trailer, go racing.
If you can't work on it, you're not driving it, mate. So
No, that's a great attitude.
Do you reckon that's flowed over? But that's the point I was getting there was, because of where you came from, being a racer, working on your own stuff, that now running a team, you want the people, especially the drivers, to know that it's just not about hashtagging on your phone and driving the car. It's actually getting in and putting in.
Well, look, we can't change the way that society has gone. Personally, I try and encourage that at work most of the time. But I realise, I'm a different mindset to the younger generation of today, but I still pride myself. I reckon I get on pretty well for most people. But, if you want to come in and start off at my place, you've got to do the miles. You've got to, Bargwana was the office girl, Tander was the delivery boy. That's how it was. You did something to justify your position in the game, because not only for the financial need, but also the discipline of making sure that everyone's got a job and somewhere to go and adhere to the rules, teaches people things that schools don't teach them today, and that is another issue that we won't head for.
I don't know what they teach at school today.
Hey, let me tell you, neither did the teachers.
Teach them
in
how
my
to be
opinion.
communists or something.
No, seriously, they've got no idea, but we don't need to know about all the social affairs that are going on in life. You need to be able to learn to spell, add up, and say
Do your
please
times table.
Do your times, exactly.
shoes.
Yep, and say please and thank you.
Yeah.
And not always to your mother. If it's to your mother and your father, you've got a better leg up.
Your sports sedan, because you sort of diverted, well, I won't say diverted.
Which one?
You went into sports sedans.
Yep.
Is that because, stay with me on this one, because I'm going to bring this up a little bit later.
The Escort was a sports
later
sedan,
on.
wasn't
Yeah, the Escort was a sports
Yeah.
sedan.
Yeah. Is that a category? Because I always thought the sports sedan series, because I remember when I was racing cars, watching the sports sedan, I thought it was great.
Well, see,
Great
what we've all got to remember now, the Touring Car Championship didn't exist as it does today. It was a one race
Yeah, once a year.
once a year in one of the states. The rest of the racing was
Production car,
centred.
basically. Improved production.
That's right. The rest of the racing centred around that, or Appendix J's as we knew them back then. And then sports sedans. And then, of course, when Bob came along with the money at the Thunderdome, and they put on the big prize money for the, I think it was the Toby Lee series,
Yep.
$10,000 and all this stuff. There was money to be got, so you could help justify your cost base again. So that was why I headed in sports sedans. I really enjoyed the 2 litre days, but it's like everything, you just want to improve, or you think you want to improve, or you believe you can improve. So what's the next best project? I've got a 2 litre car, all the big V8s are the winning cars, I need one of those. So I bought Fatty Gagan's Monaro to start with. That was the first one I bought. And to be honest, I couldn't work that car. It was just too complicated for me. That had all that whiz bang. John Shepherd built the car. It was a great car, but it was super technical. And then I bought Rex Monahan's A9X Toronto hatchback, which was a really great car. It was a very basic live axle, 5 litre, mid-mounted, easy to, well, not easy to drive, but as a car you could really toss around. And I like driving cars like that.
I've got a few little pictures
Have
for
you
you.
could, yeah,
I've got
right.
oh, yeah. Hey, we're pretty high tech here. We've got a monitor, mate.
I love that suit.
Hey, do you
That's
love
a
it?
ripping
Yeah, hang
suit,
on. We're gonna get to that. Now this So that's your. Is that the actual? Because this was pretty
That's
cool.
not the actual.
This
early
is something
model.
Replica, is it?
That's a replica car, but that is.
Is
Yeah,
it?
but the Escort's the actual car.
That's the actual car,
The
and
guy
that's
got
the
that. Yeah,
A9X
that's the
you're
A9.
talking about.
But that actually is a touring car. That A9X next to it.
Yep.
Yeah, that wasn't.
Oh,
a
that's
sports
a
sedan.
oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
But you used it in the sports sedan?
Yes, occasionally when you're short of a race.
Right.
All you want to do is race and drive,
Okay,
so
yeah,
you
yeah,
enter
yeah.
it and you go and race it.
Yeah. Now this was pretty cool because this was actually something that this was at Ipswich Raceway for your 70th birthday,
Yeah, well,
and that's Barry and the
Yeah,
team
well,
put. I mean, how good was that?
That was
to
great.
get all those. That was cool.
no, that
That's
was
one of the best
great.
things I've
And,
seen.
hey, let me tell you, I was just so grateful to have my whole family, but in particular Barry, who has come along in the last 6 or 7 years and got involved in the racing. He'd never been involved in the car racing,
Yeah.
but to do that was really very,
Yeah,
very special
yeah,
for
that's
me.
what we thought. Yeah, we wanted over, and it's just having your racing history and career there, and all the cars that you race. It's
But you
pretty
know, a
special.
used car salesman, you reckon you're pretty smart and you can find out everything. Do you know that Barry and some guys at work put that
Yeah.
together over 6 months at work in various sheds? I didn't even know what was happening.
Kidding me?
That's cunning stunts.
To try and find it, like to just
I
track
know,
them
and
down
even
and
when
get
I
them.
arrived at the I didn't know that. They were all in different sheds out
Yeah.
of Queensland Raceway. Anyway, it
Is that
happened.
right? No,
I'm very
no.
grateful that it
Yeah,
did.
yeah,
But
nice.
so that's the Escort.
Yeah,
Um,
but cool cars too. I mean, there's a lot of cool rigs there.
yeah, there was some very cool cars.
When was the transition? Or you got to a stage where you're racing all these cool cars and you wanted to be a race driver. The transition, you went, oh, I'm gonna now actually run a team or start a team or.
The Oscars, didn't it?
Yeah,
That
well,
was-
we went to the
yeah,
Thunderdome. Well,
that's
we
right.
went to the 2-litre cars. We're at the Thunderdome. Television probably played a bit of a part in that because there wasn't a lot of TV. And then when Bob Jane got the Thunderdome deal up, got the TV, and there was some TV. Valvoline were keen to go, so we did all that. But I think I probably was more committed, and I'm very committed to motor racing. But I probably needed to fund my own motor racing activity because obviously that was how I had to do it. And to do that, I needed a business that could do it. And I'd started my business many, many years ago and grown it bit by bit. But I'd get some money and spend it on racing cars. But that's what I enjoyed to do. But was I committed? Probably not committed enough to just say, well, forget the business.
Yeah.
By then I had a couple of kids and things were changing, and so I thought I better do something. But I really wanted to keep racing, and I did keep racing. But then things rolled on from there.
And that was it. Start of transition from
Yeah.
driving to running a team.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it happened.
Yeah.
So it was Richo first, wasn't it? In the
Yeah, Stephen Richards. Well, we got involved in Formula Ford too because
you
because
were
when
with
Jim Richards
Valvoline
first,
and-
that's
yeah,
right. We had the
that's
Formula.
right.
Ambrose came with us, or well, didn't come with us. Actually, Michael Ritter, who I trusted a lot and still do, and respect his opinion on young guys in racing because he got some very strict
Yeah,
rules. Michael Ritter,
yeah.
he's bloody.
He does.
Yeah, hey, I'll tell
yeah.
you what, don't can him
Yeah.
for it. He bloody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
well,
thought-
Anton come through that program.
Exactly right. And you look at
Yeah.
people that have learnt to have respect for the cars and the staff and everyone that gets them to be able to do the fulfilment that they get. And that's what to me was really important. So, we had, well, as I say, Stephen was the first.
Yeah.
David Bernard.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's an old classic of them there. Jason Bright.
Yeah. Wincup.
Wincup. I sacked him. How smart was that, eh? No, not
I
me.
don't know. When you looked at it on paper, it probably wasn't.
No, well, in the Formula Fords, I didn't sack him, but obviously we had the Valvoline sponsorship, which followed along there. And then when he came to us full time in the Supercars, he just didn't.
I was around when all that happened. I
Yeah,
reckon
that's
there
right.
was a bit of pressure from Holden to take Cameron McConville too, wasn't there?
Oh, yeah, good hope. Yeah, you're a very funny fellow, Paul. Anyway, we took who we took. We ended up where we ended up.
Yeah.
Nice.
And have a look where Jamie is. What's
Well, that was
Cameron driving rate recently?
Hey?
What's Cameron driving recently?
I don't think he's doing
Oh,
anything.
okay,
mate.
just
Yeah.
thought I'd check on that on the way through.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you went. Yeah, we got through all the names because there was
Yeah.
Caruso of later, obviously, but Tander, Wincup, Scott McLaughlin.
Yeah, well, of
You all
course,
gave it a
Tander
good
was
one.
part of the Formula Ford. Actually, funnily enough, Tander won the championship the year we sponsored Ambrose, and Ambrose ran second, and Tander won the championship. But we didn't sponsor him in his Formula Ford. That was out of Western Australia. And then he
Right,
rang
recognising,
me.
yeah.
Actually, Michael Exel, that used to be our engine man.
Oh yeah.
He rang me about Tander. He said that Tander hasn't, he's got nowhere to go. He's won the Formula Ford championship, and maybe he should ring you. And I think he told Tander to ring me, and Tander did. And this is actually a good story. and we were going to Phillip Island. Stephen Richards had just done a deal to go to Europe.
It'd be the test drive.
And do the test drive for Nissan.
Yeah.
Anyway, Tander rang me and I arranged, we were going to pick him up on the way to Winton because he was flying in from Perth and he was staying in a motel which he had to pay for because I paid for nothing. This is how it was, right?
Testing okay now.
Exactly right. I expected the fuel to be paid, the whole deal. But anyway, he was supposed to be out of bed outside the motel at 5 o'clock in the morning for us to get to Winton for the test. We've arrived in the car ready for him, no sign. He slept in, mate.
That wouldn't be a good move, would it?
That was fatal mistake, mate. And yet, I ate humble pie and coffee sweet. I bashed on the door. And got him out of bed and he came. I made him sit in the back, carry all the bags on his knees and he wasn't allowed to speak to anyone. Anyway, we got to the track and we tested him and then one thing led to another and he ended up there and that was great.
Yeah?
Yeah.
But you kicked off a lot of careers through
look,
there. I mean, is that... I mean, people go, well, you're the guru for that and all this, but it was just a matter of just using your brains, using your eyes, ears and going, yep, let's give it a swing.
Yeah, look, I firmly believe that if you can, like, you've got to be able to drive. It's no good having all the other things. Like, I think the discipline's the second most important of all. Yeah. But I think if you can drive and you've got the discipline and some respect for others around you, then it'll work. And I just found that the way I did it worked for me. But, you know, everyone says to me, oh, I bet you're filthy when Garth went to Walkinshaw's and, everyone went in. I'm not dirty on that. I've found we could not afford to pay those people the money that they were worth. And that's really what it boiled down to. But my view was we'll get another one and do the same thing again, and myself and the team will get enjoyment out of that. And really, when I see Tander and Bargs and McLaughlin and all the others, I feel quite proud of the fact that we're able. I do. I don't feel sad about it. I feel quite happy about it.
Yeah,
well, I do too.
Hang on, not quite that. Come on, be unhappy for
hang on, save the tears, mate. Later in the show for the tears, all right? Just to get the heart, all right. The heart.
I don't know. I'm nearly out of tears. I'm looking for some happiness.
No. Well, that's pretty cool though, because I've never seen an interview or heard a quote from you or anything at all saying that if a driver's gone, you've said, well, that's the way they wanted to go, no problems at all, wish them all the best. Never ever have I seen, I can't say that for a lot of other people in teams, there's always the departures have usually been pretty average, but no problems at all.
Yeah, look, I was very fortunate. I was brought up in a very strict family, but we had plenty of fun. But my parents said, if you've got nothing good to say about someone, say nothing.
Yep.
And so really, and look, those guys didn't do anything wrong to me. I understand if those opportunities arise, they've got to grab them while they can.
Yep.
Yep. So to me, it's just how it was. But look, I loved all of that. And we'll continue to do that.
It's good attitude.
You're still doing it.
Yeah, and I will. I haven't, and believe me, I will continue to do it too.
Yeah, it's great.
Now, so we roll.
I'm not the tears sure I can see.
Yeah, not yet. So we roll on. So Supercars came, got into that.
Yep.
I mean, the initial, when Tony Cochran first rolled into town and took it all over and she started getting to heady heights, was that the most enjoyable part? Or tell me what the most enjoyable part of the whole Supercars run was.
Well, as an individual, or you mean for the whole team?
For the team. No, keep it as a team because you're a team person.
Well,
which part did you enjoy as a team?
Well, I think the best part of it, obviously, when Tony and James Erskine and the SEL group came along with that proposal, and people were a bit dubious about doing it because, you know, SEL were ex-IMG blokes and there's sort of stigma about it, these entertainer people, etc. But really, I figured that was a good thing to do because motor racing, whilst it was competitive, it lacked a bit of entertainment, and those people were going to, I mean, way back the TV wasn't good. Channel 10 was at 3 o'clock in the morning. There was no real commercial energy in the industry. And Cochran and his boys, they got that happening, and whilst they copped a fair bit of criticism, let me tell you right now, all those supercar people, or like team owners such as myself, we should go to Tony Cochran every day. We see him give him a big kiss. Right, you can give him mine, so I'll stay at that. But
thanks for that.
No, look, those people did a great job to get it up. But of course, commercialism comes in and everyone wants a bigger bit of the pie and it rolled along. But I think that the site was a good thing. But to answer your question, I think the best part of it was seeing the growth of the business where sanction fees became available. You never got paid to go. You had to buy all your tickets. When you went to the car, you couldn't get your car into the pits. You couldn't go anywhere. All of a sudden, Tony with the help of, in those early days, was Ken Potter, who was.
Yeah.
There was Ken Potter and his wife did the office work in their house in Mount Waverley, and Cocko and his bunch of merry men were up on the Gold Coast, and Wayne Caddock also. We shouldn't forget him. I mean, he was a huge part of the growth of all that, and those people as a group. But what they did have, the teams straight away responded. The teams did turn up with the cars, and the cars, because we weren't so agitated over rule change and things that happens today. So the teams were able to get their cars and present them at race meetings, and reliability was pretty good. So it made SEL's job easier to sell because they had a product that worked. So they went to the governments, they went to the promoters, and really that to me, that to me is probably the most satisfying part of that whole thing. That first probably 10 years of when all that took place, and.
Because every year was just something better, wasn't it?
It was
just a growth spurt.
Yeah.
Oh, he's done it again.
I
He came up to China.
know.
New deal.
I know.
Darwin. It was just,
You know the funny part of all that? Like, I spent a lot of time with Tony because I was on that board for years. And you know what? People hated dealing with they just sort of, everyone talk about Tony Cochrane like he's some sort of prick. He was a good bloke, right?
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, they all wanted to do business with him. Every government, every promoter, everything, no matter what they said, they couldn't wait to sit down and do a deal with him.
Well, it's obvious by the deals that he pulled off.
I know,
some pretty heavy-duty stuff.
exactly right. So look, I think that everyone should be very grateful for what was achieved in that era. And as I say, the early workers, the office girls at the head office in Queensland, and everyone was there. There was only a small group of people, but I tell you, they got through a good volume of work and they got it done. And if you wanted to know something, you'd get on the phone and ask and get on with it.
That was it.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was run like big business. It was a big business, but it was run like a small business.
It was, because it had
was
that close,
hands-on.
exactly, that sort of, everyone, you didn't have 40 people scattered around the joint, everyone worked together.
Yeah. And I reckon Tony it took him half an hour to walk through the door at the office every morning because he went and find out what everyone was doing.
Yeah.
Why do you think he was doing that?
Now let me ask you. Let me ask both.
Sorry, yes.
Yeah. You stray a little bit, Gary. All right. So stay on the track. All right. Keep off the grass.
I was just thinking of something I had to tell you, but I'll tell you that later.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. G plus rating. Let me ask you something to both of you, and I've got my opinion on it. The sellout of the supercars. My view personally is I don't think that's been a good thing for the look, great if you own a franchise because you got a pretty big payday out of it. Me personally, I don't think as soon as the team owners lost control of it, I think this is why, part of the reason why it's gone pear-shaped. Your opinion? Because you're a team owner as well at that stage, Paul, so.
Okay, well.
A franchise owner.
Well, I didn't mind it because I was sort of wanted to get out, but picking up, if I can tell a story about the sellout, we had two offers, and Archer Capital was one. I think it was another media company.
Yes, that David White was working. World Sports. World Sports.
Who is there now?
He's still there
now. Yeah.
And Gary was the only guy going, we need to go with the media company because they need the sizzle. They know how to promote. These guys are just money guys. And out of all the team owners there, who's the only guy saying that?
I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have done it.
The second deal probably would have been better.
Well, who knows? But
right.
Listening to what Gary said before about SEL and how they knew how to make the show better. Yeah, exactly. Which was your point back there, and it made me think about that meeting there where you got up and said, I'm all for it, but we should be going with those blokes.
Yeah. Is that right?
Yeah, 100% it's right, mate.
Anyway, I'll answer it also. I mean, what you say is dead right, but I think it was a positive for the industry. It got to that stage where I think that the show, but because back then the rules weren't being fiddled around with like they are today. That's really what's brought the thing a little bit backward.
We saw police, didn't we?
Well, we knew who to deal with and how to deal with them and get on with them. When someone's told to do something, you do it and get it happening. But it's all become we've got far too many advisors and consultants and engineers and this and that really are not there because they're attached to the sport. They're there because they're attached to their wallets. And that really, I can understand everyone needs to have an income. I don't have a problem with that at all. But you don't need to take the whole well-groomed, orchestrated business with you when you're trying to. let's face it, people want to be excited. They want to hear the noise, see the smoke, see people argue and disagree and do a bit of that. We don't need to be so technical. I mean, how much do these cars weigh?
Oh, 1350 kilos.
Righto. So do you reckon 3 horsepower makes a difference? No, exactly.
Not at all.
And do you think a wing angle of minuscule that some computer says might alter the wind flow, you know, as just before you hit the gum tree makes a difference? No. But anyway, that's how it's got.
Yeah.
So have we lost what it's about, the racing, and we've turned it into, well, when I say we, I shouldn't say we because I've got bugger all to do with it. Have they turned it into just too much of a show and forgot about the core part, which is what you keep going on about, is the entertainment, racing, the entertainment.
But they haven't turned it into a show because they might have turned it into a show. Look,
Well,
hey,
maybe
now
a sideshow.
No,
a
this
sideshow.
comes back to what we first said. Who actually had a 48-foot pan when you first got involved?
Oh, probably 3 people.
If you're lucky, it'd be 3. Who
Whoever
hasn't
used
got
to have
a
cigarette
B double
money.
today? Who hasn't? I mean, the show as the show is outstanding. Like if you arrive there and you see the trucks and the trailers and the flags and the garages, great. But the racing is not good.
Yeah, you're right.
That's my view. So the racing could be a lot better.
Presentation-wise, we're here,
Exactly.
but the racing's gone the other way.
Exactly.
But I think the thing I'm more referring to is everything on the outside and concerts and this and that, and it's more of a sideshow rather than people want to go racing. I just, and this is something you could appreciate. Again, it's yes, you got to look forward to your new demographic and the new people that are coming along, but don't forget where you came from and your loyal fans and followers as well along the way.
Yeah, look, I'm personally not into the bands, but I think a lot of the public are, and I think they probably are a positive to the show if they're done. I mean, I think the one at Townsville got it all wrong last year because I think the concert was 5 miles away from where the races were. I might be wrong when I make that statement. But look, I like music. Would I go to the concert? I probably wouldn't because at the end of the day you don't want to go, but the punters that have paid to come, they do want to go. So I think the concerts are a positive, not a negative. But I think if you're going to have them, you need to have them where the races are. You can't buy a ticket that you give it a ticket at that gate and then you go 5 miles down the road and go to the concert. That's just my opinion of that.
Hidden Valley Darwin's a perfect thing.
Spot on.
The
Exactly.
concert comes on after the thing and all the people just rush off the hill
Exactly.
down into the area.
And they're there.
Yeah, so it's done right with the right band and the right...
Yep.
You got.
I just think of the racing side of it, you know. Because I'm a racer and always have been. I focus
Can you sing
on
or play a musical instrument?
Not at all.
Well, that's why you're against the bands.
Bloody
I mean,
yes.
get rid of that.
Yeah. Can't carry notes of my life.
Righto, so maybe you should have some singing lessons and you could become the concert.
No, I get too much. Only racing, mate. That's all I worry
Okay,
about.
righto.
The whole racy thing.
Yeah, good.
So, so to the announcement. I mean, man, that must have been one of the hardest. Is it the hardest thing you've ever done?
Oh, I think family things happen in your life that are harder than that. I mean, look, to me, it was very, very difficult to do it the way I did it. But I wanted to do it like that because all those guys and the girls that were with me, I just wanted to make sure everyone knew we were sort of not sure exactly where we were going with our racing, what we were going to stay in or not stay in because we'd got involved in other forms of racing. So I just wanted to make sure that I only did it the once and everybody knew, and then I could talk to people after that. But rather than a couple of people know and a couple of people don't, then I had a chat to Barry about it. I figured this was the best way, just get everybody together there and then, because the franchises were due on the Friday.
Yeah.
And I'd spoken to Supercars because whilst we had an arrangement with Boost for this coming season, there was some provisos in that, but we would have met those, I would have thought. But we also had a few other things that we might have been able to pull together. But I said to them, look, I don't know that I'll be able to do this by Friday. Can I have an extension? And then that was sort of, that couldn't be granted. So I figured, look, I don't want to dilly-dally here. This has got to be done. So we sat down, I did it, and that was that.
That was it.
It was that simple. But yeah, it was a very difficult thing to do because a lot of those people, they've been with me for 20 years.
Well,
it is family. I know it's family.
It is family,
Yeah,
isn't
I know,
it? Your
but-
motorsport.
yeah. But anyway,
your
look,
team is family.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we have a lot of fun. Believe me, we do have a lot of fun. Look, I love fun and energy, but also when I have to be stringent about things you can and cannot do, no one can do it better than me. But you don't want to walk around with a cat of nine tails like a madman.
Yeah.
Mind you, maybe I should.
Yeah. But it's,
anyway,
you know,
it's done now.
But looking at a lot of the pictures, I was looking at some of the pictures of the teams, and I mean, a lot of those faces have been there for a long time, haven't they?
Yeah,
They've been a real loyal bunch. Jono the fabricator, as long as he
nearly 20 years.
But it's good though.
Gypsy, engineer, Gypsy, 20 years. Look,
but it says a lot. It says a lot for the team, though, doesn't it? When you've got so many people that have been there, because a big turnover rate. A lot teams have a big turnover rate.
I think what it does say is a lot for those people, because when we get some of the younger ones that come maybe from somewhere that they haven't, they've read about me somewhere, but they don't know who they're going to be working with, and the sooner they're for a little bit of time, they realise these are a good bunch of blokes. These older guys. Hey, let me tell you. We don't give you on a free kick at our joint. We would be excommunicated today on the way we probably do things, but it's how we do them. And if I can't run my business that way, and be able to get a productive group of people together that do things that have pleasure in what they do and present a show, I don't want to do it. And we are able to do it.
It's good to see, though, isn't it? It's good to see that style of going racing still. Yeah. With how clinical some of the other teams are, that there is still some genuine
I find
races.
when I look at some of the other teams, they just seem elitist to me. It's like at a level where I'm like, that's all good, but I want to follow that team. You know? I want that guy to win. You know?
Yeah.
That's all shiny and whatever. And how do I get to there? I can't.
Yeah. Oh, look, I think there's a bit of that. But as I say, so long as I'm happy in the morning when I have a shave at what I see and make sure that my people are happy with me and I'm happy with them, it all works. Yeah.
So
we moved on from that, right?
Yeah,
but with
maybe shed a tear. I'm happy with that one. I'll get rid of that next.
So with supercars generally, though, I mean, if you're at the helm, what would you be doing? What would you be forecasting for? Because we debate this all the time on the show. We've got our views about controlled components and how you could be slashing costs. Because our views are they're too expensive to run.
Well,
number one, too expensive to maintain. But you know,
too many people.
Too many people.
Yeah.
What's
a
your
couple of things? The costs.
Because no one's ever asked you your view on it. Everyone
everyone
asked Triple Eight or DJ Penske. No one asked you.
Pretty sure everyone knows.
I've told Supercars exactly what I think about it.
Publicly.
Look, okay. Well, the fact of the matter is, we should have had a crate engine ages ago.
Yeah. And
we should have had a controlled shock ages ago. When the Car of the Future was done, the uprights should have all been the same. They half did that job. But instead of someone saying, this is how it's going to be next year, and if don't do it, don't turn up, no one's prepared to do that. And until those decisions are made, then it'll be very difficult to manage the competition and the anticipation or expectation that there'll be change. To get change, you need to make it and do it rather than talk about it.
Get on with it.
Exactly.
It's what I've been saying the whole year.
But it's not that hard.
Yeah.
But,
no, it's not. But why don't they take... This is what really annoys me, Gary. Why don't they take advice from people like yourself that know how to run a team on a budget, instead that it seems like the teams that have got the massive budgets, that's who's steering the ship. And I'm going, well, that's great if you've got a massive budget. But for everyone else...
Yeah, but it's not even if you've got a massive budget. You shouldn't waste money. And a lot of the rules and stuff that goes on really shouldn't cost... I mean, I'm not big into engineering drawings and all that, but we do stuff because you want to try and improve your lot in life. But you get guys to design things and you make them, a lot of which you do put into production and use. Half of it ends up in the bin because it wasn't quite right or it didn't quite work.
Still got a shed full of the shit.
Exactly. But if you couldn't do it, and if you were told that is the rule, and that's what I would say, the Car of the Future nearly got there, but they just cut her off before they quite got her over the finish line.
Left it too open.
That's what you said, got it half right. Instead of just keep going with it.
Yeah, and then someone's always got an argument for why they want to keep it there.
So what now? What now?
Well, what now? We'll go out this weekend and hopefully have a great result. I mean, who knows what happens? I mean, we've been really struggling this last couple of years, you've got to say. Probably speed-wise a little bit driver-wise. But I think the last 6 months we've sort of gradually gone a little bit better. Certainly not absolutely outstandingly better, but I think this weekend we could... I mean, we've still got this weekend, Newcastle, Sandown. Is that it?
That's it.
Yeah. So it would be just nice to have 3 really good results and go out like that. I mean, I'll go out on a high anyway because I've loved what I've done and I've really enjoyed doing it with the people. And like I tried to say the other day about the punters on the hill and those people, you don't realise until you go to places away from racetracks. And actually this morning, right, I'm coming into the airport and I go through the X-ray and I've got a steel hip and thing, and I went off like Guy Fawkes, and the guy is there, put him on, and then there was a girl behind the jumper, just give me a shoe on because I can't bend over to get my shoes on. Right? So I'm grappling with a shoe on, and she said, I'm really sorry to hear you're not going car racing anymore. I thought, who's this woman? Like, you don't expect women to ask. I said, what do you mean? She said, I read all that thing about you retiring. I said, I'm not retiring, I'm just retiring from supercars. Yeah. Oh, okay, so you're racing those other open wheeler things. She knew about the 5,000. I said, yeah. I said, we're around. We're going to be racing those cars and other cars. So, and you go into a pub, you go around to places, people do know more than you think they know, and that probably...
Couldn't agree more.
My negativity about the social media, because I'm definitely wrong about that, because Sally said to me years ago, you really need to latch onto all this because it's where it's happening, and I said, no, that's all bullshit, I don't know about that, you know. Give me a ball paint hammer and a Dreadnought 5, I want to put my car together. And anyway, she was right, it is where it is, so, but am I going to get into it? Most likely not.
Well, you never know, mate. A bit more time on your hands now.
Fair dinkum, I'm useless with buttons.
You can get someone to do it for you. I want to talk about one of your drivers who did a fantastic job at Bathurst.
Yep.
And I reckon the turning point for him was driving that S5000 car.
Bieber.
Yeah.
He's a beauty, isn't he?
If you look at the analysis from Bathurst, he was a ripper.
Yeah, look, he's always done a very good job. He was the ultimate person for my team because he comes from down the bush near where I live. Yeah. But a guy who knew his dad had followed him through go-karts, and he said, this kid wants to be a racing driver, and he's racing in Formula 4, so I had a quick look in Formula 4 because and he was currently winning the championship that year. Anyway, he ended up losing at the last round at Phillip Island because he couldn't go to that race meeting. But anyway, he came, and this is a great story about bloody commitment, because he lived in Warragul, and our workshop's in Dandenong. Yep. And he was 15 at that stage. Anyway, he would, occasionally a guy that lived near him would bring him to work. Most of the time he would ride his push bike from his joint in Warragul to the railway station at Warragul, take it on the train with him, get off in Dandenong, get on the bike, ride the bike to work. When work was over, and he would hang around no matter what you had to do. He wouldn't be out of there at 4 o'clock or 5. He'd ride his bike back to the station, put it on the train, go into Warragul, pissing, rain, whatever, he just put in, and he did. And he did a really good job in the Super 2 business. And then, of course, when we got the opportunity for Garth to come back, I had to sort of, because our intention was to eventually... Yeah, that's right, which,
Which probably hurt him a little bit in his development.
It certainly did hurt him. It certainly did slow him down probably a bit in his development, but he didn't sort of go on behind my back looking to people, because I know a lot of people down where he and I live. No, he just fronted up every day, he did his job, and to see his result at Bathurst, I was thrilled to bits.
Yeah, I remember he lobbed me pretty badly in the Super 2 car once.
Oh no, he wouldn't have done that. You would have run into him, mate. You'd had all this back to front. You would have been going backwards.
I was fuming, but he rang me up that night and was like, all right, you're off the hook, mate. If you got enough grunt to ring me up and say, hey, I've stepped the mark there, I'm like, we'll call it good. He's the only bloke I never wanted to pay back because he was that straight with it.
Actually,
I'll tell him that. Beware.
He knows. But
Garth Tander pumps his tyres up a lot. Yeah. Like even when we did the last TCR race, we actually got on the subject, and he said he's good. He really does. Garth really rates him.
But he's not only he's a very good driver, but he's also a really good individual as a person.
So what's the plan with him then? He's the first one that no one's nicked off yet. The good one that you've.
Well, we'll at this stage we're running him in the 5,000 at Tarn Bend, and then at this stage he and I are talking about running in that series for us next year. And in the meantime, we'll hunt around and see what we can get him.
Would you like to see him stay in supercars?
Yeah, he may want to come with the TCR program with us because we're going to be racing those cars, and we're not sure exactly how many of those, but some. But I think because he thinks, well, and rightfully so, I think in his own mind he would just maybe like to have another bit of a go at the 5-litre cars.
Oh, he's got to, mate.
I reckon you're right.
I won't say that. We won't see what happens here. I think he should. No, look, I think he does too.
I reckon you're right. I reckon that's done him good.
Oh, the 5,000.
The 5,000 thing.
He drove that car.
I reckon that's done him good.
Yeah.
But
anyway,
how long? when you're mid-pack and you haven't won a car race for a while, and you start doubting yourself.
Why am I doing it?
And then all these superstars roll up, and he just wipes them.
Yeah.
Never driven the car much before. You're like,
And it's a good thing for your knowledge base too. Wings, slicks, and aero, and you go, oh yeah, okay. Well,
we got.
he would have loved it too.
No, he's good.
That
But
should be
anyway,
your
that's our
mission.
plan.
You got to keep him in a supercar.
Well, we'll try and do so, but we can't keep him in a supercar because we are definitely not in supercars.
Yeah.
And people are saying we'll be
Understand
back.
that, but-
I don't know. Well, I will not. But at this stage, we need to find him a home next year to combine with the 5,000 program, so as he can keep his eye in the 5,000s and maybe do something in the supercars.
Yeah, well, you'll get snapped up as a co-driver anyway.
Absolutely. At least a Bathurst drive. At the
Anyway.
very
It'd be a
least.
shame, but anyway, that
Yeah.
was. I reckon that could be your last one that you bought through.
No, it won't be the last.
There's more
There'll be-
coming.
There'll be more.
Good.
There'll be more.
Do you like the TCR, by the way?
Sorry?
Do you like the TCR?
Yeah, I do. Look, Russell, I like racing.
Yeah.
I love going car racing and I enjoy the people that I deal with. And that's probably what's been a bit different. I mean, the TCR is different. It's a different group of people. There's not a lot of the faces you're familiar with, but as a category, I like the idea of that because you can afford to give some young guys a go at that. With a reasonable budget, you can get a team together. Well, we can have a team because we've already got the team, but we can run those cars for a minuscule amount of money compared. If you want to get a young guy and give him a go in supercars, to do that, what it costs compared to a TCR, it's a big difference. And eventually, I see that category. I mean, supercars will always be supercars because it's a great category. Absolutely, it is, no doubt about it. It just needs to get the rules into place and set in so there's all this deviation to here, there, and everywhere ends. But I think the TCRs will certainly be a great opportunity for people to get a bit of motor racing experience, competition. They're pretty close cars. They're lighter, so it's not quite the same. But you know what it's like when you push and shove somebody. You
Yeah, racing and racing. I haven't driven it, but Russ has. He reckons they're pretty good fun.
I think great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
Racing
think
on the road.
I mean, I've seen obviously the last few rounds in the TCR. I've seen yourself and Barry there, and you just seem to have a smile on your face as you're walking around all weekend because you're actually enjoying yourself.
Hey, but let's
chance
not
of a result.
Yeah, I know that's right. But
Yeah,
also
chance
we've got to
of a
be a
win.
bit careful.
That's
So
right.
long as that TCR program, their rules, they are seriously good about it. They've got really strict what you can and cannot do.
Yep. Yep.
Right. And they know that you just can't lobby or be lobbied and then change your mind about things. So
Right.
what you've got's what you've got, and that will help contain those costs.
Absolutely.
But if they make sure they keep that sort of grasp on the rules and the costs, then I see the TCR thing will be a very, very progressive motor racing category for young guys to get into out of go-karts, you know, and get then either stick with that, because don't forget, if you race in that category, you can go and race those cars overseas if you're good enough. It's not like you're just stuck here.
Can you get a bit of factory dough or support?
Well, you can get, actually, now that's, and this is probably something I shouldn't say, but I will say it. The thing that I think is strong about it is that there's not a lot of factory money, which I think will eventually ruin any category if the factories start.
Ruined super touring, didn't it?
It did. So
Completely imploded
what we've been able to do, we've got a loan of a Renault cargo van to carry our
you
spare
get some
parts and a
support.
couple of blokes. Yeah,
A bit
but
of
it's
help.
it's a little, that's
Yeah.
right. But that to me is very necessary. You'd like to be able to build on that, so as if you do have drivers that can't, because I think most drivers in that category can have a job, you know, so
Yeah, I've
therefore,
always had a job.
yeah, I know, but therefore, if you're going to be asking people to come to test days and do promotional activities, you've got to supplement their income a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
so
only
I think there's an
6,
opportunity.
7, 8 races a year. You should be able to have a job.
So you're not going anywhere. You're not going anywhere.
What about
Like
the
you said.
TCR Bathurst?
Well, I think that can happen.
It's happening, isn't it?
Well, yeah, sorry. Well, I beg your
Well,
pardon.
is it-
It can happen for us, yes. It's
Yeah.
happening. And how many cars will we have? Well, we'll have cars there because we're there.
Yeah. And it'll be an enduro, or
Well,
you
it's
don't know?
all up in there at the moment. Every chance it will be, yes.
That's good.
It will be good. And that's one, of course. Then maybe if you haven't quite got your socks off on your 5,000 program at Bathurst in your 5 litre car, maybe the endurance race in the TCR car.
It's experience at Bathurst, isn't it?
Exactly right.
They're going to race. They're going to have them.
Yes.
They might have them as a support racer. There's 5,000s.
They're waiting on the category circuit sign off, so on the grading of the circuit. But
Do you reckon they'd run there?
Yeah, there's they will run there.
They
Absolutely.
run there?
There may be
Yeah,
a couple of little
No,
adjustments
Barry,
made, but they will be happening.
Baz is nodding, so they might be
Yeah,
there.
righto. Well, that's good. I'm glad he's nodding because I'm nodding
Well,
too.
No, okay, right.
you'd go there just to watch that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, actually.
Imagine those things hauling the mail down the street.
Exactly right.
You should get in one, Russ.
I was thinking you could fit into one, Nelly.
Yeah.
We'll
I'll
jam
have a
in
rip,
one.
mate. No problem.
You good?
Yeah, no worries, mate.
Well, Gary,
Good.
we've gone through your life.
All right. Okay, that's good.
You know what I'm going to miss the most? I'm going to miss
That
these sort
isn't a
of.
ripping suit, huh?
I'm going to miss some of these sort of stuff. So I think
Pointy-toe shoes. I bought those shoes in Russia, you know.
this is what the category is going to miss, Garry Rogers. Is who else is going to do that? Can you see Roland Dane doing that?
Oh, he
I
does
think
do
he
that,
should.
just not on the racetrack.
I think he should.
Should do you reckon he should take up the mantle?
I think he should actually. He'd be good.
I reckon he would be all right. I can't see too many others doing it because I tell you what, there's no
It
one.
was all good fun.
There's no one that can wear a pair of shades like Garry Rogers.
Hang on, I can't see anything. Bit of bling there.
That's your Mr. T kit.
Gary, it's been an absolute pleasure.
It has, Russell. I've
And
enjoyed
an
it.
honour.
Paul, bloody
you.
good.
So-
Bloody
Good to
good.
see you.
I know it's not your wake or anything, but I mean,
No,
I know
it's-
you're going to be around, but
I am gonna be around.
But there's, I think, by the reaction of your announcement and everything that's gone down in between, you can see that you've made an impact, and I'll tell you what, you've made a hell of an impact
Yeah,
on the
well, I'm
sport.
pleased I have because, believe me, I've enjoyed it. It's not something that I did because I could make a whole lot of money out of it. I've been able to pay my way, and in particular, when you've got people like Valvoline who have been around with us for 30 years that stick with you through thick and thin, I've had a great time.
Says a
really
lot.
great
Says
time.
a lot.
That's it. Well done, boys.
Thank you. Thanks
And
for coming
girls?
in, dude. He's a character, isn't he?
Yeah, he was pretty subdued. I thought you might have got something out of him, but he
No, I think
didn't want to throw any bombs.
No, I think after his initial video that he put out when he was actually telling his staff that they were pulling out of supercars, he was pretty emotional and he let loose. He threw a couple of hand grenades pretty hard. I think after that he's probably come out of it and went, yeah, maybe that was enough, you know. So, but we want to know more about who Garry Rogers was, what he's
Good
done,
for the people to know where he's come from, and
the drivers that he's brought through.
his passion for succeeding in life was all centred around his want to go racing.
Yep, exactly.
It was his
So-
reason for getting out of bed in the morning.
Yeah, so
which
thank you, Garry Rogers.
Thanks,
and his whole
Gazza.
team. Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely. But he's not going anywhere. It's not like it's not like we're at his wake. Like, you know, at the end of the day, he's
No, he's
still
still
pressing on with
plenty going
Motorsport,
on.
TCR, and the S5000s because he actually he puts them all together, the S5000s. So. Or the team does. So yeah, he's still around Motorsport, but just not in the not in supercar land. Rightio. Now we're off to speaking of mowing grass, which this category definitely mows grass pretty easily.
knows grass.
Stadium super trucks.
It's not grassroots, but we've had.
It's not.
We've got to show people what it's about.
Yeah. But it's brought to you by Greenfield Mowers, our friends there. So yeah, we get a lot of people asking us about the truck itself, and I didn't know that much about it to the weekend. I actually pulled up Robbie Gordon and asked him about the truck, where it was derived from, that sort of thing. So what I thought would be cool, dude, is if we head outside, grab
Break
one of
it
the
down.
stadium trucks, which are all back here at Norwell,
Yep.
and are going to be housed back here. Let's grab one, pull all the panels off, and show us through, because you know better than anyone the mechanics of this thing. So let's go out there, strip it down, and show everyone at home what a stadium super truck is all about. Okay, dude, this is a stadium super truck, naked. Pull the bodywork of it. This is actually the Biff's car.
The Biffs.
Greg Biffle.
Pretty good to have him here, wasn't it?
Oh, NASCAR legend. I actually got a few selfies with him. Yeah, he was good. He was a good. You know what, dude? All the Yanks, they're bloody good dudes. It's like that Hinchcliffe that came out and did the wild card at Bathurst. Geez, they're on it when they get interviewed, and they're just good.
Well,
and
they just-
know what they talk
they just
about.
know, don't they?
They just get it, don't they?
Yeah, they
Yeah,
do.
I just really good. Yeah, it's good. It was good meeting him. But that's his truck, and he was fast in the thing too. Like he's done a few rounds and got his head
it's
around
his
it.
fourth race, so
Fourth
he's done
race.
three in the States this year.
Yeah, copped a bit of damage here and there, but he had a good time. So rightio, let's start at the front and we'll work our way back. So of course, we've got to start with the power plant.
Yeah, so 427 cubic inch LS motor. Comes out of GM Performance, so it's a crate motor, but it's built by GM Performance for racing purposes.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
7 litre. Is that right?
Yeah, what's that?
7 litre? Yeah, I think 7 litre. Yeah, okay.
Probably the same motor that was in Monaro, that
Oh, that
Bathurst 24 hour.
Yeah.
But,
12
but
hour. Yep.
single throttle body, so not a multiple throttle body, standard manifold.
Yep. A lot of torque. Big
More
engine.
torque,
Yeah.
set and forget. Engines are pretty well parity, so
Yep. Bulletproof.
great engine.
Yeah.
15 grand, 650 horsepower.
Yeah. Well, same as the TA2, we did a breakdown of that.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. So a similar engine to the TA2 that was in there,
Yeah.
and lasts forever. Like,
Well, yeah, unless something goes wrong, but
Yeah.
but pretty much they'll do 10,000 kilometres of racing as long as it doesn't get hot or it drops oil or goes. But it's not something you rebuild. It's like, if it's on its way out, you just put another one in.
another one in.
Yeah.
Now, just so, because I learnt this on the weekend too at the GC race when I was talking to Robbie, these were purposely built. I thought they were off-road trucks that he converted.
No.
But he said these are a lot smaller than like a Baja truck or something.
Yeah, it's well, first thing people say is, they're a lot smaller than I thought.
Yeah.
So if you go back to Robbie's first started racing, he started racing the Mickey Thompson Stadium Series and trucks this size. That's where he got his name and was recognised and picked up by Ford for the IndyCar program and that. So when he was a teenager, he was racing these trucks against pro truck racing basically. So he's taken what he's learnt throughout his whole career, learnt with NASCAR, learnt with truck racing, learnt with IndyCar racing, and just moulded everything he's known and just come up with this concept and built it.
Yeah.
So, as we said on the show, a pretty amazing guy to take a concept out of your head and get it into production. So,
and beautifully built too. When you look at the wishbones and they're all fabricated and they're big.
Yeah, so it's built for purpose, but everything you see on this truck is built in Robbie's shop.
Okay.
So he had a big NASCAR team sponsored by Dodge.
Yep.
They were in there, and when the NASCAR thing stopped for him, he had this massive facility, and he's basically said, "What am I going to do?"
Okay.
So he wanted to keep everyone employed. He wanted to keep all his people going,
Right.
and this is what he built.
So made it into manufacturing, basically.
Yeah,
Off-road
but
manufacturing.
This, it's simple, mate. Like, look at this. So if you're going to run up the back of someone, that's your sacrificial piece. Obviously, the biff's been into someone there.
Okay, so it's just bent that.
Just bent that. So you straighten that out, or put a new one in, fold that back down. You're racing again.
So instead of replacing the whole front bar, that's deformable.
Yeah.
So you just have to replace that, which is a couple of alloy brackets.
Couple of alloy brackets, you're good to go.
It's pretty smart. Isn't it?
So people are seeing the contact and seeing all this, but it looks like we're all out of control. But you can give someone a pretty good shot without wrecking your car.
And it doesn't damage the chassis because that'll give first.
That'll give first.
Yeah, gotcha. Now, the big thing with these things is the dampers. I mean,
so 18 inches of travel on the front. You can actually pick it up and see how much travel you got there.
Okay.
This is that's just sitting on the mainspring there now. So rising rate, when you first land, you're on the front two springs, and once they collapse and there's a crossover point there, you get into this bigger mainspring. So that's why it can soak up the bumps.
Okay. So it's like a triple spring, like supercars used to run.
Yeah, twin spring, triple spring. Three springs working at once, eventually down to that one mainspring working, which, when you land, you go, it's going to, and then it gives you that support you're looking for.
Yeah. So that'll be all derived off of off-road racing?
Yeah, this is all off-road racing stuff, triple bypass shock. There's your crossover there, so you can work out when this spring's going to engage with this spring.
Okay.
And when we're tuning the car front and rear, if you need a little bit more, it's just a tweak of the shock or playing with that crossover point, which you would understand from your supercar days, having that on the front or rear of the car. Yeah.
So again, our steering rack as well, which I found out about when I first drove these things, and they warned me about. It's 1-to-1 ratio.
1-to-1 direct. So I think we've got some footage of that, but you're not moving the wheel a lot.
Yeah.
And if you're a wheel wanker, someone that likes to jump on the wheel a bit, you're just going to end up in the fence. So you've got to be super smooth, eh? You just
And you look at Matty Brabham's in car, and he's like, real good. And that's one of the things they told me, or you told me straight up, is when you're going up the ramp, make sure even if the truck goes sideways, don't turn the wheel.
Yeah, it hasn't got a rudder.
Yeah,
it's not an airplane. When in the air, you want to land with the wheels dead straight, otherwise you're going straight.
Because you won't know how much lock. You may think it's got a little bit of correction, but it's a lot of wheel angle because of the 1-to-1 ratio.
And there's the steering rack there, built by Robbie as well. So
he does all that, and obviously must be pretty heavy duty because, geez, they take a knock in the side when you hit people and don't do any damage.
Yeah, the most strongest part of the car is this wheel and this. So if you're going to give someone a shunt, you don't hit them with the bodywork or the corner of the car. You want to move them out of the way. You're wheeling.
Yeah,
a bit like a sprint car, feed them a wheel. So
tyres.
Pretty cool, right? So DOT road tyres, something you're going to see basically on your Land Cruiser or your everyday off-road road tyre. This is a Continental. We also use Toyos.
Yep.
Everyone gets a new set at the start of the weekend. The good thing about it is the more it wears down, the faster it gets, which again is great for the show.
Yeah.
Because everyone's smoking them up on the way out and smoking them up on the way in.
Try and get the treads lower.
Try and get the treads lower. So
tricky.
Completely opposite to what you're used to. You're used to being in tyre conservation mode, having that skill to make your tyres live. Here you just want to smoke them down.
Smoke them down. Yeah, okay. Because obviously the higher the block is, it moves around a bit more.
You would have felt you getting faster towards the end of the weekend as the tyre wore down.
Yeah.
But if you take the piss, like this has happened to Matt Brabham a couple of times, he's gone over the back and smoked his tyres down and whatever, and Robbie's seen him and come up and just put new tyres on him.
For the next race. Cop that one.
So the parity we have in-house, we have sporting parity in stadium super trucks.
Yeah, okay.
I call it Rams. Robbie's American racing, like he makes up the rules as he goes. Instead of cams, we got Rams.
And make sure Robbie's competitive. And now inside the cab, now it's an auto. See, people think it's manual.
Yeah, so turbo 400, automatic transmission, pretty common thing.
Yep.
Being hot rodded a bit with the torque converter and manual shifting.
Yep.
So it'll hold first till you click it to second, it'll hold second till you click it to third, and obviously pull it back down to go back down to the gears when you want to go.
But a good old turbo 400, how good's that?
Oh, we'll keep the fluid cool, it's pretty bulletproof, pretty common thing in off-road racing. It works really good for this application.
Yep. And handbrake, mainly used for turning, help turn the car.
Yeah, so
or truck.
Yeah, so if you've got a bit of understeer, you just start breathing on that, and then again you sort of got one hand on the wheel and one just hovering over that handbrake all the time. Like I use it, and you probably use it when you get into the middle of the corner, because we're the sort of guys that'll turn the car in on the front axle. Yeah. And if you get a bit of push, you can breathe on it. But if you watch Robbie and some of the off-roader guys, they'll just bomb it in there and then hoof it on and rotate the car and fire it back out. Right. You can also use that to help transfer a bit of weight. You know, when you're coming off the corner, and then when we're racing on the dirt, it's like traction control. Like if you get a bit of wheel spin and you're coming off, you just breathe on it. And
so it's only the rear wheels?
Only the rear wheels,
yeah. Okay, gotcha. Oh, that's pretty cool. So pretty simple dash, obviously no telemetry or anything, pretty simple dash.
Yeah, that dash is downloadable. It does store data and give you lap times and all that stuff, but we don't. Yeah. It has that facility, but we don't use it.
And a brake bias, just front to rear?
Yeah, and this is a great idea. Everyone goes, why you got a gas tank in your truck, man? And people wonder what we're doing, but so all the fluids, all the breathers for all the fluids for the transmission, the radiator and the engine come into this tank.
Okay. So nothing dumps on the track?
We don't want to dump anything on the track.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah. So most of the events we go to, we're there to entertain the crowd, put on some good racing, and then the major events coming out. So you can imagine if you're at an IndyCar race, which we are a lot, and you go and you dump all your shit all over the track, they're not real happy.
They're not real happy, okay.
So,
all right, so it's a big cash tank. Yeah, it's a good idea.
Again, simple, works.
Yeah.
And again, if you're working on the truck, it's not hard to look down there and go, oh, we're making a bit of fluid.
Something's wrong.
And something's wrong.
Yeah, okay. No, so it's all thought of it again.
It's all his experience.
An engineer's built the car. Someone that understands
engineering. And a guy that's got to pay the bills.
Yeah. Take note. Again, another mean set of dampers in the back.
We'll
a couple of big trailing arms.
Yeah, big truck arms, like in it.
Oh yeah.
Adjustable sway bar. There's one on the front, one on the rear.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So you can play with that a bit too. Just move it back a couple of holes.
Now, so it's sort of like, it looks like a 9-inch type diff centre. Yeah. But the housing's purposely built though.
Yeah, Robbie makes the housing in his shop. You can see it's all fabricated. Yep. It's pretty big piece of equipment with a Ford 9-inch spool in the truck. So no differential. It's a spool, the same as a supercar.
Oh, okay, right. Yeah.
Fully locked rear axle.
Right, and then all the radiators are obviously back here, so if you take a hit in the front, it's not going to harm at all. So
all your rads are back here, and then to get airflow, it's fans. So as you know, the switches on the dash are all your fans. Yep. It's pretty important to have them turned on to get the flow to.
So you got trans and radiator. Engine coolers back here as well.
Back here.
So it's all pretty simple, really. I bet it's just been well thought out, hasn't it?
Simple, scaled up, built for purpose. Fuel cell in the back.
Yep. Okay.
Again, that's a NASCAR fuel cell. Something they would have had heaps of in the shop when he first built the trucks.
Yep.
Batteries behind it.
So everything like that straight away. So there's no chance of getting the damage if you do cop a
No,
good hit
and
in
then
the
you've
front.
got these sacrificial pieces at the back, same as the front. So if you do get a whack up the arse, you're not riding off the whole track. You're just the truck. You're just replacing these aluminium pieces.
Yep. And it's got I see it's got a couple of tether straps there up here. So and that's just to limit the
droop limiters, and then if anything does
just
go,
so it doesn't drop all the way down and give the shocks out.
And if something does come loose, you're going to keep control of it.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Which is obviously important about it because
you drop like if you drop the pin out of that arm and the arm goes all the way down and sticks into the ground, she'd flip the truck over. So
it's a good bit of kit. I mean, it's simple, built for purpose, and does this job extremely well. And that's the question I got asked the most after the weekend is, does it really hurt when you hit? Well, it doesn't, does it?
No.
I mean, it's just I can't believe how well.
It's a lot harsher banging a supercar off a curb and landing than it is jumping one of these trucks.
I found the only time it hurts is when you get it crossed up and you land a bit on an angle.
Like getting a shot in the ribs.
Almost like a high side on a motorbike. You sort of get, it straightens you up. But when you land flat on, it actually lands really well. I mean, just amazing on how it does it.
And the key to it takes is being relaxed in the cockpit. If you're tense like that and you land, it all goes through. If you're just chilled out, you just roll with it.
I think we saw that when you did your commentary on there. Yeah. Oh no, at least you can. Not one time you went. It was like, this is really cool. I think they're probably one of the best categories of racing as far as the spectacle goes that it's around. Like, I mean, there's not too much that compares to it, is there?
Oh, and you can race it on any surface without changing the truck.
Yeah.
Dirt, indoor, outdoor, pavement. You can go. We could turn up in the Bunny's car park and have a race.
Yeah. Well, you could do an autocross style thing where you can half bitumen, half dirt as well.
Yeah, we've done that. So when we raced at Texas Motor Speedway, we were there with the IndyCar NASCAR truck race and had a dirt section on the infield. We jumped into pit lane, went up pit lane backwards, jumped onto the high banking, went all the way down the front straight, 2 jumps in front of the whole NASCAR crowd, and then jumped back into the infield again. Just set up a track wherever you want.
Yeah, like I said, the scope for it to where you could run it is, it's endless, really.
Yeah, and that's the new forged rim the trucks all now have.
All right. So and that was brought in as a safety precaution? Yeah,
we had that issue with a cracked rim at Barbagallo at Perth, remember? The rim hit the crossover bridge. Yep. So then straight away, Robbie's just gone, right, all forged rims now on the truck. So he's
reacted to it. So
straight away. Yeah, straight away.
Well, again, someone that understands the engineering side of it, and if there's a fault, fixes it. No promise at all. I reckon they're a cool thing. I mean, the spectacle was great. 8-round series announced for next year. It's going to be insane. I mean, it's such a good concept, and bring it on.
Then force from the dude, back at it.
We're back at it. I hope so. I reckon it'd be great.
Yeah.
I haven't enjoyed that.
The good thing, mate?
Yeah.
I can actually shout you dinner tonight because I won prize money on the weekend.
Oh, did you get prize money?
Yeah.
It'd be the only category in Australia you get prize money still.
Pretty good, eh?
Yeah, it's not bad. Oh, that'll go to the horses. That's good. Thanks, dude.
No worries.
Just cool bits of kit, aren't they?
Oh, they're good with when tackle the body off and get to see what it's all about and how it works. Pretty amazing that a guy like Robbie Gordon, he's one of those guys, and he said it's like Larry, he can conceive something in his mind and actually make it. It's pretty crazy that someone can do that.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, he makes, he's also, I think at the moment, because he's been involved in his, those 2-seater ATV things, or?
Yeah, so if you go back, and it's probably worth mentioning, if you go back to when the Polaris side-by-sides first came out, he did all the R&D for the Robbie Gordon edition Polaris, and I think they thought they were going to sell a couple of thousand a year, and they ended up selling 100,000 a year of them.
Okay.
And then he went and did a deal with Arctic Cat where he redesigned theirs for him, and now he's embarking. He's actually building his own
2-seater
side-by-side UTV.
Okay.
Building his own, manufacturing his own, and coming out with his own product. So
that's pretty cool because they're huge in the States because they go in.
Well, you can drive them around the road.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can register it and drive it down the shops and go wherever you want. Like
serious?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is good.
Yeah, because they're good-looking things too. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay. He's definitely a cool thing, and Robbie Gordon is definitely a true character. All right, we're getting near the end of our show. We haven't had fan comments for a little while because all of our episodes have been like movie length. It's a bit like Avatar or something, some of our episodes, but everyone seems to like the longer episodes and want more.
Lots of comment on that,
Yeah, it's funny. Roland Dane, he said we should have been having 15 and 20-minute episodes, didn't he, old Roland? And now he's come out and said, the long ones are actually pretty
Well,
good.
the episode he was on, he didn't mind how long it went.
No, he wanted to go for 3 days. Jesus, Roland, seriously. It's all about Roland. Rightio, we'll get to our first questions, and we got some good ones come through. This is from Justin Bryce. Love the insight to team owners and running teams. Would like to get a better understanding how the money works. Does a winner get paid for winning, or does the team get paid for winning? So that's the money. That's actually a really interesting question. Is it prize money, or is it
It's start money.
franchise
basically.
start money?
Yeah, and there's prize money on Bathurst. That's the only race that has prize money.
Yep.
The rest is you have a contract to enter a certain amount of races, which is why everyone had to get in by the deadline. Was last week on the Friday, which Garry didn't enter. And if you turn up to all those races, and you get a piece of the pie.
So it's franchise money as such. You own the franchise, you get money back.
Yeah,
There's no prize money though, is there? as
No,
such?
you get a guaranteed payment, and off the top of my head, I think they're trying to get it to $500,000 a car this year.
Yep.
But there's other things that happen as well, where the teams share in the commercial decisions that Supercars can make. So if they do a deal with Dunlop,
Yep.
the teams get free tyres. So that's
Okay, all right.
good as getting money.
Yep.
Another one that's going to be great for the teams is the new shock deal.
Right.
So then basically the teams won't pay for the new shocks. The shocks
Okay.
will get made, it's going to be branded, and I believe it's going to be Petters will take over the official shock absorber of
Okay.
Supercars.
Yeah.
The marketing money that goes around that, and for them being able to be the official shock absorber of Supercars, will mean the teams get the shocks for free.
Is that right?
So that's
okay. Give him some credit for that. That's quite a good idea.
yeah. Well, that's Sean Seamer working his magic.
Yeah.
So that's what that guy does really, really well.
Yeah.
He does deals, and he can say, well, I can't get you more money, but how about I save you some money?
Yeah. Okay.
Which is cool.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. There you go. Hope that answers the question, Justin. That's a very, very interesting question, actually. That one, and one we do get asked a bit. Jackie Schlein. I read today that they are running V8s in the Super Utes. So V8s have Super Utes have come out and said they want to put V8s in the Super Utes, get rid of the diesels. Seems to me a bit out there and expensive as well, considering how much money the poor old Super Ute teams have had to plough into these things because of the mismanagement and mishandling of it right from the word go. Will putting a V8 in it save the category?
Well, here's the deal.
Yep.
So Supercars owned and ran that category.
Yep.
They've now gone, the teams, you can have it.
Okay. Yeah.
So the teams have got together and said, okay, we're going to run this category. What are we going to do?
Yep.
Let's put a V8 engine in it. I think they need to do that for it to survive.
Yep. Agree.
If they can get, and I think the number is if they can get 15 cars,
Yep.
Supercars will give them a spot on the program.
Yep.
So they've got to do all those guys that have got all those cars, they're going to control their own destiny now. So
It's probably the best shit. Probably should have been done from the word go.
I think it's the only thing they can do. They're not going to have someone in Supercars that hasn't got their cock on the block spending the money,
Yep.
telling them what to do. So
And that was, and like I said,
And
that was poorly mismanaged, the build of it to start with.
yeah, the thing's been a disaster from day one.
And I like to point out that's not the teams. The teams have done a hell of a job to get where they are and survive, considering the product they got to play with was so average.
Yeah, it was ill-conceived, but we've been through all that.
Yep.
And they're there. You got Peters Motorsport, you got Cedars Motorsport,
yep.
which are the guys that are heavily invested in that category.
Yeah.
They're normal, hands-on, good guys. You know.
Yeah.
If you dropped ute off to Luke Cedars and said, "Can you put a V8 in that?" He'd be the go. He'd be like, "Yeah, come back in 2 days. I'll get it done." You know,
fair deal.
He's not going to.
That's good. That's a right transition for the category if it's going to survive.
Yeah, and they need to do other things to pull costs out of it. So it's in their hands. I wish them luck, and if we can help them anyway, we should, mate.
Absolutely. James Buckingham, suggestion: should supercars introduce a VSC system like Formula One does? Which sets minimum and maximum sector times once a safety car is caught out. This would eliminate something like this happening again, meaning Bathurst with the cars. So a virtual safety car.
Virtual safety car, or what they call it, is a code 60. It's already in the FIA sporting code and in the rules. A lot of endurance races have a code 60. So basically means you do 60 kilometres an hour, hold your position, don't gain advantage.
Yep. Which they can do through the sector times.
Yeah.
Around the
to me, that's just going to ruin the race. I want to see them stack back up and let loose again.
It sort of contradicts what we were talking about with the competition yellows.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to make the racing exciting, you've got to bunch them back up again.
Bunch them back up.
Yeah.
Shuffle the field.
Yep. But you wanted to reduce, because a lot of the comments we had was that McLaughlin and Whincup set at that Bathurst debacle when the great hold up,
last sector.
Yeah, fastest sectors up through, because I looked at on the weekend, so they didn't go past the incident, did they?
No. Didn't go past the incident.
Because
and the control line comes through the pit lane, so it's triggered it as they came in pit lane.
Right. I was going to refer to the latest Mexican F1 race.
Yeah.
Verstappen got his qualifying time. Well, they were going to take it away altogether, and they gave him a 3 or 4 grid penalty.
Was he on the gas under the yellow?
Yeah, going through, setting his fastest sector time through a yellow zone. But he actually went through the incident. Yeah, he went past the incident.
Same as Bryce did at Bathurst.
Yeah.
Bryce forward.
Yeah.
Penalised for being good.
So you reckon they got away with it because they didn't physically go through the zone where the accident was at Bathurst?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Interesting. No, so James, maybe we'll cross that one off.
Super fair, and no one gets an advantage or disadvantage, but not good for the show.
No, not good for the show. Okay. Fair enough. Rightio. GC600. I've got no name on this one, but anyway, they'll know who they are. GC600 is definitely not for the fans. I was going to take the family on Saturday, but at $100 per adult for general admission, they can bash it. So maybe worth talking about on your show.
Yeah.
I didn't realise it was that expensive to get in there, actually. $100 per adult for general admission.
Yeah.
Whoa.
One day.
Decent hit. Is that because of the concert?
Well, the concert's over, isn't it? It's on Saturday night. When was he going to go?
Oh, no, on the Saturday, but I don't know what Sunday was, so we don't know whether it was the same for Sunday. So it's quite expensive.
Yeah, I wouldn't pay $100 to go.
No, I didn't realise it was that expensive. I understand the cost of the event and putting it on and everything, and
but plenty of people did pay that money and had a good time.
They did.
I didn't see anyone happy.
Yeah, no,
again, it's like
record crowd.
If your interest is only,
I'd put up the bullshit card on the record crowd. I got to tell you, because a lot of the residents that I've spoken to around the place said it was probably one of the quieter ones I've seen for a while. So as far as getting in and out the circuit and access, so
it was easy to walk around.
Yeah, I didn't. I've been to there where it has been wall to wall, out of control, getting in and out of that joint.
But that's when
I just walked in and out.
But that's when you could go there and look at chicks in bikinis and do all the normal stuff you want to do on the Gold Coast.
Yeah. Since they calmed it all down.
Yeah,
so I don't. Like I said, I know why they do it, and because you obviously want it to look good for the government and all the rest of it. But don't hot rod it too much. It wasn't a record crowd there, in my opinion.
Well, they definitely weren't all walking around.
No. So I reckon it was probably a little bit quiet. Still a good atmosphere and everything.
Corporate was humming.
Yeah, corporate was still good.
It's the best event to go for like if you're going to do Gold Coast, a corporate event and spend your money being in a corporate box.
Yep.
Gold Coast 600 is the best.
Yep, couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Did you have one? Or?
Well, there was a couple of comments, and it was people said, and there was 3 or 4 people that said about our Walkinshaw facility tour.
Oh yeah.
That you should have warned us it was going to be an advertorial for Walkinshaw. So
really,
I just want to make it real clear that they didn't pay us to go down there.
Yeah.
It was your idea to go and do it because you thought it was a cool thing to showcase. And our philosophy is if a company or someone's using motorsport to promote their product, they're involved in motorsport, we're going to give them a run. We're going to give them some love, and that's all we did.
Yeah.
So just wanted to clear that up. We cannot be bought.
Yeah,
we are independent.
No, that's a fair call, and in actual fact, like the only way you can stay independent is not. Unfortunately, I mean, we'd love to take manufacturer money.
Exactly.
You know, but if this was branded by a car company or whatever,
We couldn't
we'd
do
love
what
to
we
take
do.
your money. You couldn't be unbiased about it. So the thing is, you know,
Why don't you run out and buy the products, Castrol Oil, and
absolutely, because they're the people that help all these sponsors that are involved in on a show, and you'll see the signage around here.
Yeah.
Pay for the production cost of this show, so you know
They do, but we can't be bought. We're not going to take money off people to buy our comments, and we're always going to say what we think.
Yeah, and it's sort of flattering up to a way that Walkinshaw's are going to use those segments for their own use as well, because I thought,
which is great.
How good's that? Yeah.
Ryan said, can I use this for some promotional material? And I'm like, go for it, mate.
And that's a company as well, like Walkinshaw's, HSV as a company, Walkinshaw Automotive. They are so slick with a lot of their advertising, some of the best advertising over the years of any product in automotive. So
I was proud of you when they said that,
yeah,
Russ,
so
because if you don't know,
come-
Russ puts all this together and it does a really good job. I'm just the guy that walks in. For them to want to use that for that
thanks,
sort of
mate.
thing, and then but you didn't go, give us some dough for it.
No,
you
no,
went,
it's
I'm
just-
happy to help you out, mate.
Yeah, and we thought it'd be interesting for everyone that watches today. So anyway, that's enough of that. My favourite part at the end of the show, dude's live message, because this is where we get a live message.
Okay.
Hit me.
You ready?
Yep.
The only thing that you can really control is how you react to things that are out of your control.
Ah, okay. We could probably refer back to a couple of drivers that are having issues with their teams, and
Happened to me on the weekend.
happened to you on the
I
weekend.
was hanging out of the fence.
Yeah.
No fault of my own, spun off on someone else's oil, and I was just like, well,
yeah.
what can I do? I can't do anything.
So,
I can't get mad at anyone.
repeat that one again. So we got
The only thing you can really control
Yep.
is how you react to things that are out of your control.
Ah, that's very good. I think it's one of the most inspiring ones I've heard this year.
Scotty McLaughlin?
Yeah. Scotty McLaughlin, yeah, for sure. Okay, there's a message to live by. Very
Jack
good.
LeBrock?
Dude. Yes. yeah. Well, he's reacted well.
Yeah, there's a few examples of that in the weekend.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there you
You
go.
walking down pit lane?
Yeah. That was out of control. Yeah, no, that's good. Very good. All right.
Okay.
We've covered it all off. I don't think there's much more. Great show. And we're back with episode 14, probably after Newcastle, but we might have something in between. Got an idea.
Okay.
Yeah, I know, when we're looking at all that passing and crash stuff and that, I think we need to get back on the track. I think we need a bit of driver tuition, bit of passing. Bit of passing education for our young
we need to
budding
call
drivers.
Todd Wanless and get some more cars?
I think we better get on the Wanless, and we need a couple of tear-up cars, I think. I feel one coming on. We haven't done it for a while. Be a good one at the end of the year. Yeah, a bit of track action. So thanks everyone. Thanks for coming in. Keep those comments coming, as long as they're respectful. And we'll see you next time. Cheers, guys.